Hello. Alright, we're back. Sorry guys, had some technical difficulties. Don't know what happened. I think the stream completely disconnected. Apparently Wolf said we lost internet around our area, but we're back. Hopefully you guys are rejoining me. Yo, hey Mad Dog, you made it. Alright, looks like we're back. Yeah, sorry guys, some technical difficulties happen. I'm sure we're not the first to suffer this. But yeah, lost connection. Don't worry, we're back. Yeah, to wrap up, Mr. Pig is going on to A tier. I really like him. Basically, we're pretending that they're cannibals. Courage believes that the pig is evil, but nope, he was actually a nice guy. He and his wife are actually friendly people who make meat art based off of their customers acting as their models. They were making pictures and model statues with their meat and then cutting up the rejected art into their food products. Yeah, basically it's the wife's art being cut up and turned into meat and fed to their customers, but it unintentionally scared Courage. It turned out, no, they're not cannibals, they're actually nice guys. No worries, true. It's alive. Let's do Freaky Fred next, by the way. No problem, we'll do him next. Yeah, sorry guys, I had technical difficulties. Yeah, it happens sometimes. Sorry guys, but don't worry, we'll make a part 2 right now. Yeah, the pig, he's going on to A tier. The pig would show up in different cameos from time to time. Some references to his episode about how he might be a cannibal, or it's funny because he's a pig who's a butcher. But yeah, he became a recurring side character. I'll put him on to A tier. He was pretty funny. Alright, since we got a lot of villains, let's do... Where is he? Where's the freak? Naughty. Freaky Fred. Okay, gonna upset some people, but Fred I'm gonna put on to... That's why they call you General. General. Okay, I am not a huge fan of the Freaky Fred episode. I think it's a bit overrated. Now... Yes, this is a decent story. It's not the worst Courage episode. In fact, some would argue it's one of the top 10 best episodes ever. Fred is not quite a villain. He's like this deranged psychopathic barber who gets a weird like sexual thrill out of shaving things. He likes to shave people, animals, whatever, down to nothing. He shaves them bald. Freaky Fred is an insane barber who has like these mental freakouts where he psychotically obsesses with shaving anyone down to basically bald, to nothing. He shaved his pet hamster, he shaved his girlfriend, he shaved random customers. Basically, this guy is supposed to be kind of like Sweeney Todd or a stand-in for serial killers. It's diving into the mind of a psychopath, and that's why the episode is good. The character, not so much. I didn't really find Freaky Fred all that creepy, despite his weird, disturbed pedo smile and those creepy eyes. He isn't really a villain, he's just a mentally unstable lunatic who likes to shave things down. He is locked in a room with Courage the Cowardly Dog and is shaving Courage in this really creepy, disturbed sexual fantasy. It is very weird. Naughty. With love, Fred. Would the Cicada Queen from the Scooby-Doo Courage Cowardly Dog movie be a Courage monster or a Scooby-Doo monster? I count them as both, Wildflower. Grin smile. Shaving Horage's to Courage's mouth. Yeah, shaves everything off of Courage but his tail. Thankfully, the cop showed up just in time, arrested Fred, and Courage has saved a few hair on his backside and his tail. Yeah, Courage is shaved mostly bald. He's like 99% bald, but yeah, the police get here quick and finally save Courage the Cowardly Dog, and Fred is brought back to the insane asylum. Fred is actually the nephew of Muriel. They never elaborate on how close their friendship is, but yeah. Basically, Muriel invited Fred because he was released from the nut house, only to get placed back in there in like literally a week. Yeah, Fred... I think he's fine. That's really all I have to say about him. The episode itself is good, and I do appreciate the deep dive into Fred, but Fred the character, not one of my favorites. Honestly, I think a lot of people really overhype that episode. It's very dark and disturbing, yes, and has very interesting writing. Fred himself is not one of my favorite characters, though, so he's going right smack in the middle on B tier. Hi, it's back. Hey, Kira. Just had some technical difficulties. With love, Fred. Yeah, sorry, the stream like completely disconnected. Either YouTube went down or our internet was on hiatus. We're back, thankfully. We're carrying this on. Like, this is creepy, like, feels like a creepy. Yeah, he gets that weird sexual desire over shaving people. With love, Fred. It's kind of like this ironic nursery rhyme, like a fantasy, a fairy tale story, about how he describes his lust for shaving things. Very creepy episode. Though, I think the writing is what really sells it. The writing, the atmosphere, the animation. Fred himself, I think he's alright. We'll put him onto B tier. Freak. Next, let's do Quentin Tarantella, the director. Everyone wants to direct an angry, nasty people. Yeah, I like this guy. He's going on to star. Quentin Tarantella, aka Zombie Quentin Tarantino. Tarantella is actually this psychotic movie director who uses Courage and the Farm Family for his own agenda. His first episode is also considered one of the darkest episodes of the series. Tarantella came back as a zombie because he wants to resurrect his partner for his ultimate movie. And it turns out Tarantella and his partner create snuff films. They are actually full-blown serial killers who pose as movie directors, gaining the trust of random people and innocent families, claiming to want to put them in their film, only to actually film themselves killing, murdering, and eating their victims. Yes, this actually happens on a Cartoon Network show. Tarantella, we never see them actually kill people on screen, but the Bag family are their most recent victims. They trick the Bags into taking them over to their farm. They plan to film them. However, they're actually resurrecting his partner. His partner, Paul Van Volheim or whatever, he also died. However, the house was built over his grave, and he's come here to resurrect his partner, and they can carry on their evil psychotic art as zombies. And they almost kill and eat Muriel, but Courage saves them by rewriting the script. Yeah, this guy was awesome. You know, for kids. Hey, Kat, happy to see you again. Thanks, Juan Hernandez, happy to be here. Yeah, don't worry, I saved the stream. We're gonna finish this thing. Downed internet or no downed internet. Like, this is creepy, feels like creepy. Like, how did that pass Cartoon Network censors? I assume it's because it happened off-screen. Tarantella and his partner slayed several people, but we never see it. Like, there's no corpses, no bodies. It happened in their backstory, and the Bag family are implied to be their newest victims. That's kind of how they got away with it. They were, like, gonna full-blown kill Muriel by eating her. Yeah, we are going the zombie route. They want to eat her. But Courage rewrote the script, and it says the zombies go back in the hole. What? Well, it's in the script. I can't believe it. You are such a lousy writer. You've always been a lousy writer. Yeah, very funny twist ending. With love, Fred. Like, feels like the Hisoka brothers. Like, Peter Fernandez played Benton Tarantella? Yeah. All that time just to write me like this? That's it. I stop working with you. Our partnership's kaput. Oh, who wants to work with a lousy old hack like you anyway? Courage puts dirt on them. Yeah, that was a funny twist. I didn't see that ending coming. Tarantella also was in Hate TV. Yeah, so, believe it or not, he came back for a sequel episode. This time, a lot more lighthearted, but it is one of the funniest episodes of the series. Angry, Nasty People, where Tarantella wants to make a sitcom about the Bag family, Eustace, Muriel, and Courage. However, he's actually recording all of Eustace's anger, hate, and abuse to form the real star, Mr. Nasty. Yeah, he's also down here. Sorry, trying to find him. There he is. Mr. Nasty, the star of his show, Angry Nasty People. And yeah, I'm gonna put him onto S tier because Mr. Nasty's eviler Eustace. He's all the farmers' evil and hatred turned into a living form. And yeah, Mr. Nasty and Tarantella become the creators of Angry Nasty People. Hi, or in your native language, I love this guy. The guy playing Eustace had the time of his life as this character. Mr. Nasty is pretty hilarious and basically just screams and says a bunch of abusive verbal abuse towards Muriel and Courage. You're all stupid, worthless morons. Worthless waste of space. Weaker than weak old haggis. He's like yelling at them. It's all, you're stupid, ugly, worthless losers. And basically we all laugh at Mr. Nasty being a dick towards them. And Eustace is actually into it because he gets the money from it. He gets the royalties from Mr. Nasty's success. What? Are you crazy? I want to be rich, rich, rich! And yeah, the show becomes a huge hit, and basically we're watching Mr. Nasty be like his own one-man jackass team, picking on Muriel and Courage. Look, Mommy! It's those stupid, ugly, worthless losers! I love that line. Yeah, he was in Hate TV. And Speed Racer Senior and Speed Racer The Next Generation. Oh, he was in that. Okay, I didn't know that. Could you use the lousy rider joke in a future review? Akira, I did actually use that joke in past reviews. For making fun of the worst riding in Goosebumps and Twilight Zone. Yeah, I'm very certain I did use a clip of that. Courage puts Muriel into quicksand and Tarantella. Oh, that's so nasty. So, Tarantella and Mr. Nasty have a hilarious defeat in this one. Believe it or not, Tarantella's kind of defeated by the exact same way, being buried under the house again. Courage decides to outdo Mr. Nasty. He builds a quicksand pit in the living room. Yeah, the show is weird. And he wants to be caught on film throwing Muriel in there. All the audience is watching. He upstages Mr. Nasty, and Mr. Nasty kind of quits and walks off. He's got other work elsewhere. Tarantella is totally into it and wants to film it. However, Courage fakes him out, pretends he's gonna throw Muriel in, but kicks Tarantella in, and Tarantella dies being buried under the quicksand in their house. Yep, he gets reburied back in the grave with his partner. Tarantella is gone forever. Oh, that's nasty. And the show ends its series, where Mr. Nasty becomes a talk show host. He replaced Jimmy Kimmel, and is hosting like a late night talk show, along with Eustace, and Mr. Nasty actually wins in the end. He cons Eustace out of his money. And your agent hates you too. He's giving you a massive pay cut. 99%. Stupid farmer. Yeah, love these two. Tarantella pushed the boundaries for this show. This is one of the creepiest villains ever, and Mr. Nasty is a much more hilarious, exaggerated version of Eustace. Yeah, both these guys, they are all stars. Watch where you're going, you fool. Yeah, you missed us talk about him, Wild Wolf Lover. Like why the quicksand trap, like Totally Spies did that. Quicksand was a popular way for death traps. Alright, still got a lot of characters to work with, so don't worry if you're late showing up. Let's do the Cajun Fox, who I also thought was okay. We'll put him under Freaky Fred, but the Fox was alright. This is one of the more goofier Looney Tunes style Courage villains. Muriel and Courage go to the park where they're actually chilling and relaxing. However, in the park lives the Cajun Fox, this fast-talking, sassy bad boy fox who wants to make a Cajun granny stew, and he needs a little old granny, where, of course, he stumbles upon Muriel. He wants to cook Muriel into a stew. You want to make stew out of her, and a fine one at that, brother. The fox has some funny lines, hilarious banter, but he is a full-blown comedy villain. He's a lot goofier, kind of the Wile E. Coyote of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Courage is basically trying to save Muriel all episode from this fox, trying to cook and eat her. Yeah, it is kind of dark that he wants to bake Muriel into a stew, but it's given a more Looney Tunes style approach, a lot of outwitting, a lot of funny disguises, wacky cartoon logic and antics. They end up chasing Muriel on a plane. That's how crazy the episode is. Though, the one dark moment with the fox is his death. He almost gets his claws on Muriel, tries to bake her, but Courage, falling right out of the sky, somehow crashes into his cave and knocks the fox into his own cooking pot, and that kills him. The fox is like boiled alive and being baked into a stew himself, gaining his comeuppance. Weirdly though, this would not kill him because he shows up in Ball of Revenge, also somehow not explaining how he's alive, and now voiced by Dilworth in his second appearance. Muriel is a hard sleeper. Yeah, she doesn't wake up with all this craziness happening. Did Wolf say yes to review Cat's Eye anime? Sadly no, Akira. Wolf has not even heard of it. Yeah, sorry, Akira. Wolf has not heard of the Cat's Eye anime and hasn't watched it. Like I like for the Fox character. Yeah, he looks cool. Believe it or not, he also has these crazy eyes. Underneath his cool sunglasses, he has like these weird buggy cross-eye looking things. His like eyes are very huge and crazy and jutting everywhere. Has like a lazy eye. He has like this insane look, but he hides it under his cool shades. Like the Cajun fox, like, why Granny Stew? If you don't know, Kira, it's a joke because foxes are made into Cajun fox stew. Here he makes Cajun human stew and wants to bake Muriel as the final ingredient. It's like a reverse. Foxes are usually eaten by southerners, but the fox wants to eat a person. The fox has funny eyes. What's, huh? Like, how is Muriel a granny if she doesn't have any grandkids? He's just counting any old lady, I guess. Yeah, he returns somehow. He's in the Legion of Doom, and honestly, I think it was kind of a weird choice. I can only assume the creator liked him because the fox was only in like one episode and he died in it. Fun fact, the show takes place in the fictional town of Nowhere, Kansas. Yeah, they clarified that's their state. Have you ever saw The Dirt Bird or of the author of Courage? No, I don't think I have, James, if what you're saying is true. Okay, so, to wrap up, yeah, the fox, I think he's a okay villain. Like his design, but honestly it reminded me a lot of Cats. I can only assume Cats was the character who caught on. The Cajun fox, some funny moments, some hilarious banter with Courage, but overall, one of the more goofier villains. He's alright. We'll put him on to General. Alright, so I know everybody wants me to talk about this character, the evil veterinarian, or as I like to joke, Hugo Strange. This is the vet who caused the entire events of the show, and yeah, he's going on to star. This guy might be one of the most evil characters of Courage the Cowardly Dog. So, in Courage's childhood or puppyhood, he's taken to this creepy veterinarian, and yeah, I can't get over it how this guy looks like Hugo Strange. Hugo Strange operates on Courage, but we find out he's actually evil. He's abducting dogs for his experiment. What's the experiment? He wants to take dogs, launch them into space, and then retrieve them after they come back, now stronger than ever. Breeding dogs in space is the way of the future. He's somehow making super strong super soldier dogs by shooting them out into outer space, where I guess they adapt to their environment, come back stronger, more powerful, and better than the average Earthling dog. And yeah, he abducted Courage's parents. That's kind of the big reason why he's on here. He's the main villain behind the entire events of the show. This is why Courage was abandoned as a pup and found by Muriel. He abducted Courage's parents and basically shot them into space where they never saw their baby puppy ever again. And for the longest time he got away with it until Courage is taken to the vet. He's suffering PTSD, undergoing all those flashbacks, basically showing you his origin. We see how Courage the Cowardly Dog started out. We see his origin, his tragic backstory, and why Courage is afraid of everything. He lost his parents to this guy years ago. The guy tries to take Courage and make him the next experiment, but Eustace and Muriel actually follow him to the back room, wacky antics happen, and he decides that Eustace and Muriel have seen too much, and Hugo Strange tries to kill the entire family, and this time Courage is ready. Courage fights to save his new family and new home, and my favorite scene is where he screams into Hugo Strange's stethoscope. Like, screams and deafens him. Courage saves Eustace and Muriel, and hilariously gives him his just desserts. Hugo Strange is knocked into his own rocket ship and sent to Dog Planet. God, was this a sad episode? At least at the end, this guy got what was coming to him. Yeah, best part of the episode. Hugo Strange lands on the moon and encounters all the dogs who are pissed off at him and ready to kill him. Best part of the episode. All the dogs show up, now super strong and powered, including Courage's parents. Courage's parents are alive and safe, and they pretty much maul this guy to death. Yeah, this guy confirmed to die at the end. He tries to laugh like, oh, I didn't really mean to hurt you. And yeah, they maul Hugo Strange. They like net him and the dogs maul him off screen. Really hardcore death. Yeah, Hugo Strange gets killed by a bunch of super dogs mauling him, and Courage's parents give him his just desserts. And just desserts. It's also one of the saddest episodes, next to the one with the space squids. Yeah, Remembrance of Courage's Past is one of the biggest episodes of the series because it is a very good tragedy. Made Courage, this silly cartoon dog, actually this very sad and wholesome character. Courage is dealing with PTSD from losing his parents, and low-key kind of confronts his fear, kind of gets over his trauma, and kills the bad guy who screwed up his entire life. Super dogs. Remembrance of Courage's Past, along with Perfect, were the last episodes of the series, and they were a great high note to end on. Absolutely, Shadow. They were great final episodes. Like, people say Courage is based on Skinwalkers. Who says that? Theory: Courage sees everybody as monsters, or sees monsters everywhere because of his trauma from the veterinarian. The monsters are people. Yeah, I heard that theory, that Courage is actually living in a normal world, and every time monsters show up, there's some random stranger he's encountering, that Courage is really crazy or something. It's an interesting theory, but no, they kind of confirm that Eustace and Muriel see the crazy characters too. I've heard of that theory, me too. The lady villain of the Perfect episode. Ah, okay, you want her next. Did I miss Mad Dog? No, you did not, Tails. You did not. We're still on other villains. We're wrapping up the veterinarian. Yeah, most evil character in the series. He's gone on to Star. Alright, so... you want... knock off Mrs. Worthington. Perfect. So... sad she's not going on to S tier, but I will put her onto How Lovely. She's going on to A tier. This is the perfect teacher. Courage is having some insecurities and self-doubt about himself. This episode did make it onto my top 10. Courage encounters this bizarre Mrs. Worthington knockoff who will teach Courage how to be perfect. Courage feels like a failure. He's nothing. He's weak. He's not smart. He's not talented. He's always screwing things up, and he believes there's something wrong with him. Where this creepy teacher shows up and offers to guide Courage down the perfect path and mold Courage into someone better than ever. I jokingly call her Mrs. Worthington because she kind of reminds me of her. She's like this, well, prim and proper supernatural witch nanny, exactly like how the Courage villain is. There are theories this villain might in particular be a hallucination. Yeah, I heard that. Didn't miss Mad Dog. Mad Dog's still coming up. Return the slab. Courage's nightmares. The blue fetus. Yeah, the trumpet thing. I don't think the trumpet made it on here because that was just a dream creature. Yeah, Courage basically fails all her tests. He can't do anything right, or he can't do her tasks well or perfectly. He has that hilarious dream sequence montage. There's the creepy blue fetus thing. It's actually Eustace's trumpet given this bizarre human design. Yeah, everybody remembered the trumpet monster, though I think all the dreams are pretty funny. I love the Wizard of Oz dream, and that weird, surreal CGI artist dream where there's like a bunch of papers flying around and this paper like leaf thing falls at the screen. That's actually a pretty cool effect. Oh, and also the claymation Courage. That was a pretty nice and funny sequence. Yeah, those are funny. So, there is a fan theory around this character. People believe the perfect teacher might not be real, because only Courage sees the teacher. Eustace and Muriel never meet this character, and this character is not seen interacting with everyone else around the episode. It is only her and Courage interacting and bantering, leading to some to theorize that she's the personification of Courage's mental illness, his sense of imperfection. She's the voice in his head telling him he's not good enough at anything or being a good person, that he's imperfect, that she's really the personification of everything Courage hates about himself. And I do agree, that is a pretty interesting fan theory, especially because we don't see this woman interacting with anyone, though Dai here is one of her students, and I do think she might be real to an extent because, yeah, this guy is also one of her students. Ah, I'm perfect. Yeah, Courage pretty much fails her class, but Courage gets a pep talk from a talking fish of all things. This talking fish shows up and tells Courage there's no such thing as perfect. Our imperfections are what make us unique. And Courage realizes that, yeah, he's not a mess. He does have good qualities. He does have perfectness in him. He just has his own individual identity. And Courage stands up to the teacher. She dares him to make a perfect number 6. Courage makes a hilarious art drawing, which, from a certain angle, you can convert it into the perfect 6, where I guess Courage accidentally passed her class. The perfect teacher realizes she was wrong and dies horribly melting. Yeah, she has like a freak out, then she melts, realizing that Courage was perfect all along and that she was wrong, but she's still trying to convince herself, no, it's not perfect, and she melts away like the Wicked Witch. I heard someone say that Dai Lung is the reincarnation of Rice Gum. I'm perfect, stupid dog. Yeah, Dai Lung is the lady's best student. Like a Thundercats actress played the perfectionist. Oh, she did. Okay. Chilla and Palmyra from the original Thundercats. Okay, I did not know that. Good for her. The blue fetus. Good villain, but the scariest part by far is the perfect episode, is the blue abomination thing. Yeah, it's Eustace's trumpet mixed with a fetus, and it looks as nightmarish as you can predict. So, like, why didn't they get the perfectionist actress to play Mrs. Worthington? She might have been long dead by this point, because she voiced characters back in the 80s Thundercats, you said, Akira, so she probably wasn't around by the time the Haunting Hour was up. Plus, Margot Kidder was a celebrity. I heard someone say that Dai Lung is the reincarnation of Rice Gum. Like I thought Dai Lung stole the Eiffel Tower. I'm perfect. No, that's not perfect. Not perfect. And she melts. Yeah, Courage conquers his fears, conquers his insecurities, and we get actually a happy twist ending. All the bags accept themselves for their imperfections, are hanging out, and even though they're all kind of weird and kooky in their own way, they're all happy. They all like who they are, and it ends with Courage dressed as a butler or something. He's like in a nice suit, partying with Eustace and Muriel, all happy with who they are. And that's kind of the end of the series. A rather wholesome high note, I will say. Yeah, Perfect made it on my top 10. Remembrance of Courage Past sadly did not. It had a lot of competition, okay? There's a lot of good episodes. But yeah, the villainess, I'll put her on to A tier. She's fine. I like her. She's enjoyable. And she gets her comeuppance. So we'll put her on to How Lovely. She still has a long way to go to reach perfection. Alright, who to do next? I think we should bump off another bad one at least. Alright, let's do The Weremole. Okay, The Weremole is a good episode. However, The weremole himself going on to needs vinegar. Alright, I've not been a huge fan of this character. This is the weremole. You can see him killing the rabbit very violently, I will say. Now, this is a good episode. It is dark, creepy, creative, and so hilarious. However, the villain himself, nothing special. The weremole is basically a mole who bites people and spreads the infection, turning other humans into weremoles. Muriel gets bit. She was like feeding this rabbit. The rabbit gets killed very violently and darkly. The weremole actually does kill an animal in the beginning, and Muriel thinks the rabbit is down the weremole's hole, tries to feed a carrot to it, only to get bitten by the mole, and the mole's size kind of changes all throughout the episode. One second, the weremole is like the size of Muriel's hand, then the next, it's the same size as Courage the Cowardly Dog. This, I think Katz describes him best. Who brought this unrefined beast? And yeah, that pretty much summarizes his character. Basically a violent psycho who likes biting people, infecting people, eating stuff, destroying everything in his path. The weremole was a little funnier in the Legion of Doom episode, but doesn't really have much of a personality. He's violent, he's psychotic, and he likes to eat stuff. Kind of a dark version of Taz, the Tasmanian Devil, but they never really give him any lines or any really scene-stealing moments. That's it. I'm getting me mallet. Honestly, the weremole was more weremole Muriel was creepier. Yeah, this is pretty much the high point of his episode. Muriel is the actual monster. Muriel gets bitten and turns into a weremole. I wonder if her weremole form is on here. Yeah, sadly, I don't see it. You would think weremole Muriel would be on here. We got Kangaroosaurus Eustace on here. Yeah, I might be missing it, but yeah, the weremole Muriel was way creepier. Muriel is effectively the real villain of the episode. The weremole is kind of there in the background. Eventually, Muriel becomes a weremole monster and goes on a rampage, and this is a pretty funny episode. I do like it. The doctor especially, open wide, say, ah. And she's like biting into the doctor. Yeah, Muriel turns into a weremonster, and this is pretty much the fun part of the episode. Muriel is a psychotic monster going on a killing spree, and Courage and Eustace have to save the day. That's it. I'm getting me mallets. Eustace thinks it's a mouse or a rodent terrorizing them and has that hilarious whack-a-mole fight with it. Yeah, I don't care what anyone says. The whack-a-mole scene was hilarious. I know it's dragged out, but that's kind of what made it funny. Courage is the one who confronts the weremole. He has to find the head weremole and extract a piece of its hair, feeding it to the infected, and that somehow cures them. Yeah, Courage dresses up as a bunny, gets terrorized by the weremole for a really long time, but eventually he manages to get a fragment of a hair off the original mole and gives it to Muriel, curing her. And then we get that hilarious twist where the doctor's now a weremole. Oh, there's a doctor in the house. Yeah, the Dr. Vindaloo is one of the best characters. I love the Doctor. Where's me mallet? Ah! That's not me mallet. Oh, me mallet. Oh, you want the evil roach next. Okay, James, we'll do him next. Let me just wrap up Weremole. Like, Weremole is weird, like it said the Indian Doctor. Yeah, I love that guy. There was going to be a crossover episode called Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog, Scare-a-thon, but it never came to be. That sucks. Scooby and Courage deserve a lot more encounters. Yeah, Weremole Muriel is definitely the better villain. The Weremole himself, not much. He comes back in the Legion of Doom episode. He's a part of Eustace's alliance and basically does what he does best. He, like, mauls Courage, he bites and tunnels into a lot, throws dodgeballs with the gang, and he eventually, like, tries to hide inside a clam to get away from Courage's sonic scream, and the Weremole is one of the casualties. We see the clam fall in the chasm, too, but yeah, he was, like, the weakest villain on the team. The Weremole needs vinegar. He needs much improvement. All normal, nothing to worry, Indian, all normal, nothing to worry about, nothing at all. Just keep soaking it. like why Warner Brothers made Were Animal, like Werecats and Scooby-Doo Zombie Island, and Weremoles and Courage. I guess they didn't want to overdo the werewolf trope. Indian music plays. Do 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 do. Yeah, I love the whack-a-mole jokes, like why a mallet on the moles, because it's how you whack-a-mole, Akira. Muriel whack-a-mole, yeah, I love it. Yeah. He's like trying to whack it, and Muriel keeps diving in like a whack-a-mole game. That is the worst case of chickenpox I've ever seen. That doctor is hilarious. Courage and the doctor are worried to see Muriel. Muriel stares back. Shh, my favorite show's on. And she mauls the doctor. Sadly, the weremole himself definitely needs vinegar. He needs improvement. Going on to C tier. Alright, somebody wanted Schwick. Where are you? There he is. Name's Schwick. Bushwick fully, but my friends call me Schwick. Where you from? Bushwick. Yeah, let's do Schwick, who is going on to How Lovely. Okay, I know a lot of people argue he belongs on S tier, but the monster inside the closet was the scariest part of that episode. This is Schwick, full name Bushwick, a creepy New York cockroach man who lives on the dark side of New York City. Muriel is invited to perform at a concert in NYC, and they stay at Bushwick's hotel. The hotel, this very creepy, dingy, dungeon-looking place where he has a monster inside the closet. Post my plug for my Tales from the Dark Side review here. Yeah, he has like a closet monster. You want to know what's behind that door? You don't want to know what's behind that door. You want to know what made these bones? You don't want to know what made these bones. I used that clip in the review. Boxers, briefs! Boxers, briefs! Boxers, briefs! And Schwick is played by Andre Seguluza. Really, I thought Maurice LaMarche played him. Was he a Sopranos parody? I think he's like supposed to be like Joe Pesci, because he has like this very thick New York accent and is very anger prone. Basically, the Bushwick takes Muriel and Eustace hostage and threatens to feed them to his closet monster unless Courage can get him his evil package. He needs Courage as a delivery boy, picking up a package with him, but he can't leave the premises. So Courage goes to the dark side of New York to pick up the evil package, and this has the famous jump scares, the one with the creepy little girl. That one traumatized everyone for life. Like, Courage goes to this creepy motel on the opposite side of New York, in the dark part of town. He's like in the ghetto, the spooky part, and inside this hotel, there's like a bunch of horror movie characters. He opens up the door and there's the Jaws shark, opens up another door and there's King Ghidorah from Godzilla, and everyone's favorite, the final door he looks into, he sees a cute little girl playing her violin. And then she turns around and turns into a claymation jump scare, has that really freaky face and is yelling, "Ah!" Yeah, Courage gets scared and slams the door in her face. That scene pretty much traumatized a lot of kids, and honestly I think it still will if you show them to kids today. We see the devil with 3 heads and jaws. Yep. That's a King Ghidorah from Godzilla, if you didn't know, V Scorpio. Yeah, lady jump scare. Everyone loves that part of the episode. Dog, I need you to deliver a package. Nobody crosses me. He played in Puss in Boots and Shrek 2, video game Hakoda, and Avatar Last Airbender. I'll have to listen to him again. The Screaming Lady, child building. Yeah, that was creepy. Sideswipe in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. Oh, he was in that. I'm sorry. Onya's Major Blood in G.I. Joe Renegades. Yeah, I loved him in that. He was awesome. Courage sees the girl playing violin. He turns around and has that creepy claymation animation. Yeah, one thing I love about Courage the Cowardly Dog, similar to the DCAU, there's a really timeless animation to this, and I love their experiments with the other types of animation. The little girl is like made of claymation, and it looks pretty creepy and damn good. I know who he is. Okay, V Scorpio, okay. Tai Lung and Kung Fu Panda, the legends of awesomeness. He may be a coward, but courage can be brave when he needs to. Yep, he's a brave dog. I see you did the Queen of the Black Puddle. Yep, she's an S tier. Really liked her. Okay, so to get back onto Schwick, he's kind of a funny villain. He's like just chilling with Eustace and Muriel, even though he's kind of holding them hostage. He gets into like guy fights with Eustace. Boxers, briefs, boxers, briefs, boxers, briefs. And he's like comparing whose hairs are longer. Well, you win. Your hairs are longer than mine. Told ya. And he and Eustace are like kind of bonding, hanging out. They're watching the TV. I do love that he thinks Courage is their son. Your son better be back with my package or else it's curtains. So Courage gets into a lot of wacky shenanigans, eventually gets the evil package. He delivers it, crashes a subway into the hotel. And yeah, unfortunately he destroyed the package. What was in the evil package? His squeegee. Yeah, he needed a squeegee wiper to clean the windows. Yet this whole time he's trying to clean the warning signs carved on his windows with the squeegee. You bent my squeegee. Now it's curtains for you and Sitar, lady. And Courage and Muriel run off. We see him unlock the closet. It's implied the closet monster killed Eustace in the end. Yeah, well, we see Eustace alive, but a skeleton. Yeah, the closet monster got Eustace. And Bushwick ends up chasing Muriel and Courage all the way to the concert, but Courage accidentally attracted the attention of a cop, and the cop kicks his ass literally. Ah, we finally got you, Bushwick. Schwick! Schwick! The name is Schwick! And yeah, Bushwick is actually arrested at the end. I will say I do like this guy's creepy design, but he has a really funny personality. Wish he got more episodes, but we'll put the cockroach guy onto How Lovely. Eustace gets a very graphic death. Yeah, he's eaten, but we don't see it happen on screen, so they were able to get it past the censors. And he was Iger Dreadnought in Avengers Assemble. Ugh. Earth's Mightiest Heroes is the better Avengers show. It said that it was based on Large Marge and an old Fruit Loop commercial that inspired the little girl. Yeah, I do believe Large Marge. I have to find that Fruit Loop commercial then. Vigo and Scarecrow, Wizard of Oz, and Lego Dimensions. Okay, glad he's still getting work. Also, Pinite and Owl House. Police chase Courage, and Courage whistles and throws a donut out the window, and he still got on the subway train. Also, finally, Bunkuki Kitamaru in Persona 3 Reloaded. Eustace gets a very graphic death. He's eaten, but we see he's still alive, so they kind of got away with it there. 2,000 channels and still nothing on. And we see the closet monster retreat back in the closet. I theorize that Tales from the Dark Side shares a universe with Courage now. Also, Monsieur Mala in My Adventures with Superman. Ugh, I'm sorry, guy. I wonder what the monster looked like. Watch my Tales from the Dark Side review, that's my theory. Hey, Kat, sorry for missing part 1. It's okay, Christopher, the internet kind of went down and we lost connection. We're back up and completing this thing. When I first saw the Queen When I first saw the Queen pulling the plug on the drain to get Eustace, I thought it was her foot and toes, but thanks to YouTube and DVR, it was actually her hands. But can you imagine it? That was the foot. Yeah, we know Anime Night. You have a foot fetish. Eustace is a villain in some episodes. Is he in the list? We got Mr. Nasty. Not sure if Eustace actually made it on this tier list. We do have the whip, but yeah, that's pretty much the end of it. Maybe. Okay. Yeah, to wrap up, Bushwick going on to A tier. He's pretty funny. Alright, next, let's bump off a bad one. Sorry, glossing over. Yeah, it's pretty hard to find a bad one because the show is so good. You know, I might do the Guardian of the Golden Hat. This guy, the rock golem, going on needs vinegar. Okay, so Courage the Cowardly Dog has pretty nice animation. Even today, it looks fantastic. This is the one monster who does not look good. They used kind of computer graphic imagery for this, like from a point-and-click video game, and the monster's art looks very off. This is the Guardian of the Golden Hat. Eustace goes on an adventure to steal the legendary Golden Hat. They go to like a temple area. They're attacked by a cult. The cult take them hostage and sacrifice them to the Guardian. It's this big stone golem, and this thing looks cool in a still image. It does not look good in motion. Believe me when I say, this thing has very weird movements. It looks like the fakest monster in this entire series, and that's saying a lot for an animated cartoon. The golem almost kills Muriel, but moves very slowly. It has like this very janky point-and-click PC game animation, and Courage defeats it by giving it a nice coat. Yeah, it turns out there's these special rules that the cult has to abide by, and it's never be vain, and the monster gets a sexy fur coat, wants to be a model, and that ends up killing it. Yeah, kind of anticlimactic, even by Courage standards. Speaking of which, we'll also knock off the cult. Here they are, the cult of the Golden Hat. Also going on to needs vinegar. Okay, the episode itself is fine, but the monsters, not really that intriguing. Once again, kind of forgettable monsters like the duck and the weremole. Didn't really do much. Had a lot more goofy moments, and the cult all have like these funny sounding voices and these big noses. Hello, for example. Stupid dog! We talk about Two-Headed Lady. Oh, you want the Quilt Club next. Okay, we'll do them next. Where did Courage get that AK-47? Probably from Mr. Mole. Or Mr. Mouse. Love me some Courage the Cowardly Dog. This, along with Goosebumps and Are You Afraid of the Dark, was my introduction to horror at a young age. Yeah, Courage, I would also say, is entryway horror, though unlike Scooby-Doo, it was not afraid to go hardcore with it, to the point where characters died in some episodes. Why it looks like Scooby-Doo monster. For example, my favorite moment of that episode is during the cave scene, where the family nearly got killed, including the giant watermelon. Yeah, instead of a boulder, there's a watermelon chasing them. Like we have to wait for Clayface and Livewire tier list for another Batman movie. Don't worry, Akira, Penguin and Killer Frost tier list for Christmas season. Just a group of Squidwards, yep. Cat, how are you? Hey, Miku, I'm fine. A bit pissed that my stream got disrupted in part 1, but we're back. We're gonna finish this. Okay, so the Golden Hat episode is pretty funny, though, mostly because Eustace and the wacky temple area, the setting is very much the star of this episode. The cult and their golem themselves, kinda meh. A little undercooked as characters. Basically, Courage has to outwit the cult, and he destroys an entire cult and their monster by having them give in to vanity. They all get like these expensive fur coats, and they gave in to their vices, and the temple is destroyed. And, best part of the episode, Eustace dies in the end, even though it seems like he survived. Eustace finally got the Golden Hat, and then when he wears it, he dies. Yeah, he like turns into stone and falls apart. Stupid hat. Yeah, it's one of the okay episodes. Unfortunately, the villains, nothing to write home about. We'll put them on needs vinegar. Here, Cat. Hey, Sega, glad you can make it. There is not a villain in the Hunchback and the Mystic Tree. Oh, that is weird. We do have them. I guess they count as supernatural characters. Leader Monk, played by Arnold Stang, who played Top Cat's first role. Okay. Getting some water. Alright, Akira wants the two-headed woman, the Quilt Club. The Quilt Club, believe it or not, we'll put them onto Star. Yeah, I'll put them under Mr. Nasty, but above the veterinarian. This is the Quilt Club monster. This two-headed Siamese twin woman who has been around since the dawn of time. It's implied that these two are immortal witches who lure in unsuspecting women into the Quilt Club. And of course, their latest mark is Muriel. Muriel is like shopping at a fabric store. She's into sewing and knitting, and the manager is this creepy two-headed witch. The witch offers Muriel a chance to join the Quilt Club. And this is like one of the scariest episodes of Season 4. Season 4 went a little lighthearted in a lot of their adventures. This one I think was pretty good because what makes them scary is they operate like a cult. The witches pretend to be Muriel's friend, lure her in with these false promises, all this, oh, if you join the club, it's great, you'll be a part of the family, you'll be a part of this prestigious club that's not offered to anyone, pretending they're Muriel's friend, but over time, trying to make her forget who Eustace and Courage are. Make Muriel forget her life, lose connections with people, sever ties with her past, because they're going to sew her soul into a magic quilt. They're immortal because they live off of the souls of these women. They sew into their magic sentient quilt. The quilt is alive and is feeding upon Muriel's desire to literally fit in. And Muriel gets her soul sewn into the quilt. And there's several other women from the dawn of time. There's like a cave woman, a pilgrim woman, an African tribal woman. There's a sexy Japanese woman. She like wears a kimono. And an Egyptian woman. So don't worry, we got all the races in there. Played by Fran Brill. Elisa and Eliza Stitch. Yep. That was an interesting episode. It is pretty interesting. Not sure if it made my top 10. I think I might have put it on the honorable mentions, but that was really it. Leader Monk, played by Arnold Stang. Yeah, he was Top Cat. No wonder his voice was recognizable. Oh, and he was Buzz B in the Cheerios. I know Charlie Schlater, Buzz B. Speaking of vinegar, my personal favorite chip flavor is salt and vinegar. Loved it ever since childhood. Actually, Wolf, I don't have a foot fetish. I just found it intriguing that there's a group of people who enjoyed something that can get fungus and ingrown, and how it's the female side that it's popular. Well, don't leave out Dan Schneider, Anime Night. It was pretty funny when they had a football game on the quilt. Yeah, Muriel is basically making all these elaborate quilts, one of them being a football stadium, and it's still not good enough to get in. And eventually, she gets in when she forgets about her husband, Eustace, and Courage. Courage actually stands up to these witches, fights them, hilariously ties them together at one point, and has Muriel break free from their cult hold over her through remembering. He reminds Muriel of her past, sews in like a piece of Eustace and a piece of his fur into the quilt, and that releases Muriel, along with all the other women who are conned by them. Yeah, the quilt women, the Stitch sisters, get their comeuppance, the quilt breaks, they lose their power, and end up in a quilt fabric themselves, after Courage breaks all the souls they feeded on out of it. And get a lot of sexy women designs here, so if you're into Egyptian women, Japanese women, and pilgrim women, there you go. Yeah, they free them, and Muriel's about to start her own quilt club, and then Eustace scares them all off because he's Eustace. And hilariously, Eustace sneezes in the quilt fabric the Stitch sisters are trapped in. Yeah, they got their comeuppance in the end, but they are pretty intimidating and impressive villains. I will put them on to Star. Definitely a club worth remembering. She played Zoe and Prairie Dawn in Sesame Street. So the twins are like Forget Me House from Don't Forget Me. Exactly, Saga. Like the Japanese woman. The quilts are human. Yeah, Eustace got sick. So they have been around before Jesus was born. Yeah, we do see them in Neanderthal times. So yeah, they were definitely here since the dawn of time. What are you gonna do when an episode doesn't have a villain and only has a supernatural element? I guess just kind of exclude those. Like they are from the Boiling Isles from the Owl House but banished. Nice. I only have seen a few episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog, including the Scooby-Doo crossover, but I can't remember much. That's okay, Miku. It is an old cartoon now. Like these women witches have no lore and came to Earth. They do kind of have lore. Oh, do the deer next. Alright, so to wrap up, the Stitch Sisters, pretty S tier, pretty creepy. I do like the episode. We'll put them on to S tier. Alright. Want the deer next. A deer's gotta do what a deer's gotta do. Yeah, this guy going on to... How lovely. He's going on to AIDS here. This is the deer hunter from the episode Farmer Hunter, Farmer Hunted. And I love this episode. It is so hilarious. So, interestingly enough, the deer dad is not technically a villain. He is actually a peaceful character at first. Eustace and Courage are going deer hunting, and Courage likes the deer, wants to save them, respects nature. The deer dad is actually friends with Courage, and yeah, they kind of stay that way for most of the episode until he defends Eustace. Courage, like, hilariously plays with the deer, accidentally gets shot, and the deer snaps and decides it's time to fight back. A deer's gotta do what a deer's gotta do. And he gets this laser bazooka, deciding he's going to hunt down poachers. And unfortunately, the first one is Eustace, who Courage has to save. And that is hilarious. This guy, like, beats up Eustace. Ordinarily, I would put him on S tier for that alone, but he's not really a bad guy. The deer almost executes Eustace and Courage, but Courage convinces him there's another way. And basically, they go on a game show to prove that animals are superior to humans. Eustace is a complete idiot who fails at Jeopardy, and the deer is actually an intellectual animal who proves that animals are worthy of life. Oh dear, a deer's gotta do what a deer's gotta do. Like Courage was a cartoon I saw but was forgotten by my animal fans. The tables have turned. Paul Hecht played the deer. Imagine if a deer did that in real life. Yeah, we would all be screwed. Don't forget the tiger trap. That was a traumatizing experience, but I'm over it now. Yeah, I love that clip. It is so random. That's why it's so hilarious. Like, we need a deer clip for the future review. I have used a lot of Courage clips. I think I did use some of the deer clips, but I think the tiger one is, like, easily the funniest line in that entire episode. Yeah, the deer hunter is a pretty badass hunter. He's pretty good at this. Eventually, Eustace gets killed by his own stupidity. He gets mistaken for a deer and shot, and presumably the deer dad goes back to living peacefully with his family, now free from the hunt. But yeah, this guy going on to A tier, he was hilarious, and he was pretty likable. Plus, he gives Eustace a well-deserved beatdown. He's going on to A tier. Only not making it onto S tier because he's technically not evil. He's just fighting in self-defense. But I like him. He's gone on. How lovely. Let's get another weak monster out of the way. Let's knock off Bird Mom. Yeah, she's going on to Stupid Dog. This is the mother vulture. Muriel is abducted by a vulture mother who actually wants to use Muriel as a babysitter. You see, she's going to a singles dating meeting. Yeah, she's going to, like, a dating event and needs somebody to watch her baby birds. And that person is Muriel. Muriel and Courage babysit the birds, and this character is kind of annoying, has like a Fran Drescher-esque voice, has this like very nasally, nagging voice, and she has like one funny line: if something happens to my babies, I'm gonna eat your brain with a cereal spoon. That's like the one funny joke she had. We kind of get that with the moose. That he plays Lucky the Leprechaun in Lucky Charms. Oh, that was him. Arthur Anderson was Mr. Nasty. Why did they give him a dad's body? Having that sexy furry fan art, Tails. Horsebag is there. Yeah, Eustace's cooler brother. Wow. Yeah, okay, Mama Bird has like one funny line. She's pretty much absent for most of the episode, and the main villain is this snake, who is also going on to Stupid Dog because he's a snake. That's all he is. He's a snake. A snake accidentally gets grabbed by Courage in the feeding bucket, and Courage accidentally brings the snake up to the nest, and yeah, that's pretty much all it is. It's a snake that wants to eat the baby birds, and nearly succeeds because Courage was stupid for once. Eustace accidentally gets, like, tarred and feathered, and the snake goes after Eustace thinking it's a bigger bird, and yeah, he doesn't succeed either because, yeah, Eustace gets chased by the snake in the end, and that's the end. Mama Bird shows up again and says that she didn't meet anyone at the singles meeting, but she hooks up with Eustace, who's still tarred and feathered like a bird. Yeah, Mama Bird steals Muriel's husband, Eustace, and makes him her new man to raise her babies, and it ends with a weird joke of Courage barfing out worms to feed Eustace. Yeah, these are kind of lame villains. They did not try with these ones. They're basically talking animals. That's all there is to them. Linda Lavin played the mother vulture. Okay. Yeah, pretty weak villains. They're also going on Stupid Dog. Okay, I got a lot of people to work with still. Let's also knock off Little Muriel. Okay, I know I like Kath Soucie, but Little Muriel, easily the worst villain on this. She's going on Stupid Dog. Alright, this was a very bizarre episode. I know that's not saying much for Courage the Cowardly Dog, but a twister hits the middle of nowhere, and Muriel is accidentally caught up in the twister. Courage tries to save her by roping her down, and unfortunately the twister reverses her lifespan. The twister de-ages Muriel into a little kid, and we meet little Muriel, and this is like easily one of the most polarizing episodes of the series. There's some funny moments here and there, but little Muriel is annoying. Kath Soucie uses her whiny baby voice from Rugrats, and she is obnoxious. More cheese, less macaroni. More macaroni, less cheese. I don't want it. I hate macaroni. She's annoying. Little Muriel is annoying. I guess the joke is Muriel used to be a brat in her childhood, but grew up into the nice, sweet old lady we meet in the present day of the show. And yeah, that's really all this character does. Shows you that Muriel was different in her childhood. She used to be a whiny, petty brat who was obnoxious towards everyone, to the point where people jumped off an airplane instead of listening to her. Then she gets saved by Courage. Courage, forces her up into the airplane. They dive into the tornado and cure Muriel, turning her back into her sweet, likable self. We will get a better snake villain. Yep, we will. I hate macaroni and cheese. She was Helen and Gertie and Bob's Burgers. Oh, she was in that. Okay. Killer Veggies of the Dome of Doom next. Alright. She played Tuffy in Tom and Jerry. Yeah, I know Kath Soucie is. At least macaroni and cheese can be used as a meme. Yeah, it can. Okay, so Little Muriel is annoying. This might easily be the worst villain on this list because the joke is she's obnoxious. Easily stupid dog material. Alright, want the evil vegetables. Here they are. Alright, evil vegetables actually going up on General. That's why they call you General. The vegetables, they're alright. So, Eustace signs up for a government experiment to test an experimental growing formula. Not for his hair, but the one for vegetables, that they're trapped in a biodome to harvest these radioactive vegetables. And the vegetables are alive and seek to kill and eat the Bag family. And I will say there's a lot of creative visuals, a lot of nice imagery, and they do their damnedest to make you terrified of veggies. There's these flying wasp tomatoes, these cabbages with these giant mouths, the killer potatoes from the Goosebumps episode. Tries to be a stay out of the basement type of episode, but with the vegetables running amok, and yeah, I think they're kind of cool. They have a lot of decent designs, are pretty creepy and intimidating, especially because the farm family are trapped in a dome with these plants that want to eat them. It turns out the vegetables were mixed with the DNA of hornets, sharks, and piranha. Yeah, don't ask me why the government tested that product, but yeah, they were mixed with a bunch of predator DNA, and that's why they're savage and trying to kill them. And they get defeated by Eustace's sweat. Apparently Eustace's sock sweat attracts these things. Courage puts it into a pesticide container and sprays them with it, where the vegetables all kill each other. It's a pretty graphic and creepy episode, but the villains themselves, they're fine. They're like living sentient food. They did what Stay Out of the Basement failed to do, make a living vegetable actually creepy. They're made of pythons, hornets, and piranha. Okay, thank you, V Scorpio. That was the one animal I missed. One of my personal favorite episodes. Okay, yeah, the episodes themselves are good. The villains themselves, they're okay. Yeah, and Kath Soucie was Daphne's mom in Mystery Incorporated. Oh, she was also Starfire and Mad. I did not know that. She's Mara, Aquaman's wife in Young Justice. How about the Scarecrow? He was a one-note bully character. Alright, we'll do him after. Jason Anton played Courage, the Cowardly Dog. No he didn't. That was someone else. Which you think is better, the killer fungus from the original Ben 10 or this episode? Ooh, that is hard, because I do like the killer mushroom designs. Might have to go with this one, because they had, like, different plants. It's kind of creepy and dark that they die because of cannibalism. Yeah, all the vegetables kill and eat themselves. And Eustace kind of eats their gross, slimy remains. But yeah, okay, the killer vegetables, I think they're okay. We'll put them on to general. Okay, somebody wanted the Scarecrow. Courage the Cowardly Dog did a creepy Scarecrow episode. Alright, where is he? I am bad. People fear me. I am bad. People fear me. There he is. Alright, sorry, it's his army design. Alright, the Scarecrow also going on to How Lovely. I love Killer Scarecrow episodes, and Courage's Killer Scarecrow managed to be both very eerie, but also so hilarious. So, the Bag family pick up a living Scarecrow. The Scarecrow is a completely failed Scaremaster. The crows, like, pick him apart. They aren't afraid of him. He fails to protect his crop field. The family hilariously crash in a cornfield. And Muriel decides to take this pathetic ragbag Scarecrow back to the farm and rebuild him anew. The Scarecrow is kind of this nice guy, has this this loving, compassionate fairy tale voice. Yeah, he sounds like straight out of a children's storybook. Ah, thank you. Has this very polite voice, this very deep voice. He is voiced by cats and LeQuack, after all. But the Scarecrow has a problem. He sucks at scaring. He's not scary, he's not intimidating, he's not badass. He feels like he's worthless and weak. So the Scarecrow gets some self-help tapes and works out in a montage, turning himself into the badass, creepy Scarecrow here. He's like a fully jacked, buff army Scarecrow. He wants to protect Muriel because she's the only nice person towards him, and he kicks Courage and Eustace out of the house, basically taking over and turning it into a military compound. It is a very crazy and hilarious episode, but I love it, and he has that mechanical dragon that breathes fire on the guys. That's funny. Eventually, Courage springs Muriel. The Scarecrow tries to chase them down, chases them on a giant thresher, but the crows are still not intimidated by him. Courage uses his wits to outsmart him and summons the crows to maul him, taking apart his body and destroying him, and Eustace is hilariously killed by a thresher. But yeah, the Scarecrow apologizes for being a dick, but he just wants to be scary. He finds out he's not scary, but he becomes a nice guy. They convince him that he is good for something, and he gives a ride at the county fair. I guess he becomes like a sideshow at the fair, and he basically gives people a lawn ride, riding like a tractor around, and we see Eustace is buried under the hay bale. Yeah, funny episode. Wow, I totally misremembered this episode, sorry. Really, Tails, you don't remember it? It's pretty funny. He played the eggplant minion, sorry. Okay, Aishen. The Great Sea Monster next. The Scarecrow walks at midnight should have been. Kind of. Okay. Yeah, the Scarecrow's funny. I'll put him on to A tier. Love the episode itself. The episode itself would be on S tier. The character, I'll put him on A. I like him. He was pretty good. Okay. Where is he? Yeah. The Sea Dragon. The Sea Dragon might upset people, but he's also going on to General. That's why they call you General. Okay, this is the sea monster. A sea monster arrives in the middle of nowhere trying to eat the Bag family. He is actually insecure because he can't fly. While chasing the family, Muriel and Courage manage to negotiate with him that if he spares their life, they will teach him how to fly. And throughout most of the episode, the dragon is hilariously epic failing, being taught by Courage, trying to fly, only to fail at that. He fails miserably and hilariously. Courage gets hurt. Eustace actually got eaten and is hilariously trapped inside of him. They try to act rational and reasonable with this dragon who wants to kill and eat them. It is a pretty hilarious episode. But we get to the big twist. The dragon is not a regular dragon. He's a sea dragon. It turns out the dragon was lost from his birth parents when he was young and grew up under the guise of regular flying dragons. He believed he was an outcast, a freak because he couldn't fly. Courage and Muriel bump into his dad. Yeah, his dad is a nice guy ocean dragon, hanging out in sea. He eats like fish pops and fish popsicles. He doesn't eat people and meets his son again, telling him that, oh, you're a part of our family. You're actually a water dragon. And the dragon has a redemption arc. He turns good, apologizes, and takes Eustace out of his gut with a doorway into his stomach. Yeah, cartoon logic. Eustace is released and hilariously killed by a flying dragon, and the water dragon becomes a good guy. He retires and goes out in the ocean to be with his family and realizes he likes eating fish. It's a nice kind of cutesy fairy tale story with some dark humor, but the dragon's alright. I like him. He's fine. Can we do another popular character next? The Harvest Moon Spirit. Alright. The flying dragon eats Eustace. I'm a water dragon. Another good episode I like. Yeah, a lot of Courage episodes are pretty good. The character himself, he's okay. William. Okay, William is his name. Alright, you want a good character? I am the spirit of the Harvest Moon. Yep, the hyper-realistic Moonhead going on to Star. Yeah, I'll put him under Tarantella, but above Mr. Nasty. Yep, another S-tier character. This is the spirit of the Harvest Moon. So, the farm gets haunted by this poltergeist, and they did a very nifty effect on this guy. It's basically a real guy under a lot of Uncle Fester makeup. They whitened up his face and posted like a real guy's head in the cartoon. They did try to make him look as ghostly and surreal as possible, and did a really good job. Believe it or not, this spirit traumatized a lot of kids for generations, and it is not hard to see why. It has that very creepy voice, very creepy powers, and a very distinct design. Until midnight. You have until midnight, or else you'll suffer the consequences. So the spirit of the Harvest Moon is haunting the farm because Eustace has completely failed as a farmer. He's pissed off that this farm has not grown any crops or plant life, that Eustace is a terrible farmer, and he wants them to vacate the premises. He wants the farm family out of their house, out of this area, because they have not done a good job protecting the land and soil. Eustace acts like a stubborn old goat, always complaining, saying, I ain't gonna leave. I'm a good farmer. Got me a green thumb. Complaining to the spirit, and basically plans to kill them by midnight. They have until midnight to grow at least one plant, and then he'll spare them. He'll spare them if they can grow crops on the soil, making sure that they didn't kill the land for good. And Eustace pretty much epic fails, complaining to this guy the whole time, while Courage does all the work. Floop and Spy Kids. There's two floating heads, this and the creature in the wall. Yeah, we got him on here too. Get out. That's not very nice. You didn't let me finish. Oh, I'm sorry. It's time to hit the road. Well, that's not much better. Yeah, funny interactions. Would you look at that? It's a floating head. I was talking about that leaky pipe. Playing Alan Cumming. Oh, that was Alan Cumming. Okay. And he played Loki in Son of the Mask. Yeah, I know who that is. Yeah, Alan Cumming, pretty huge guy. Looking forward to him being Nightcrawler again, but the MCU has been very bad. Definitely traumatizing to me. Really, Shadowlink, okay, I didn't know you find it scary. Honestly found the head more cool than creepy. It is a very gnarly design. I do like this thing and his very booming voice. And how does the guy try to kill them? Basically, he seals Eustace and Muriel in the house and heats it up. They're dying from extreme heat. They're melting, the thermometer busts open, everything's melting. Courage hilariously tries to save the day with that leaky pipe, but no, the pipe turns into sand. Get out. Make me wait until midnight comes. Same, this along with King Ramses and that girl with the violin jump scare traumatized me at a young age. Like the Harvest Moon Spirit played by Fred Melamed. He played Gumball in Adventure Time. Okay, still getting work. Cool. Okay, so I found the Spirit a lot more cool than creepy. A lot of people were traumatized by this guy. I thought King Ramses and Tarantella were far scarier, but this is a really gnarly villain. I like him, like his energy, like his mysterious, omnipotent kind of voice and power over the farm. Eventually, Courage grows a plant through Eustace's sweat. Eustace and Muriel are like dying from the extreme heat, and Eustace sweats on a dying flower, bringing it back to life, and the Spirit is convinced he spares their lives and congratulates them on being good farmers, and the Bag family are allowed to keep their house and live. And Eustace lets it all go to his head and believes he's the greatest in the world because he accidentally grew a flower. Pretty good episode. The Spirit, of course, gone on to star. Like this guy, like his design, like his voice acting, and especially like his powers. This is definitely one of the all-star Courage villains. This episode creeped me out. Really be Scorpio. Okay, I like the episode. I like it fine. Okay, let's do the Magic Tree of Nowhere, who is also going on to star. He's an S tier. Yeah, the Magic Tree made it on here, despite not actually being a villain. I guess he counts as technically a monster on my tier list. Love the Magic Tree, like his performance, and he also kind of has a really trippy design. They gave him like a human mouth and human eyes, kind of like the effects they used for the spirits, and the tree is actually a good guy. Yeah, he's one of the best characters. I almost might bump him up, honestly, but yeah, I love this episode. The magic tree is grown from magic beans that Eustace failed as a farmer again, but Courage actually grew this magic tree. And the tree is basically the giving tree. It's the giving tree. It gives Eustace, Muriel, and Courage a bunch of things they desire, tries to make them happy, acts as their friend, and the tree is kind of like this weird Jesus allegory. It's this loving, caring, compassionate soul that wants to help people, but Eustace is effectively the villain in its episode. Eustace wants to chop down the tree because he's jealous that the tree is doing a better job at protecting his family and being a man than he is. Yeah, Eustace is completely butthurt, insecure, and crying all throughout this episode, and decides he wants to kill the tree out of pure envy. Chop, 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 chop. It is one of the best episodes in the series, and the tree is one of the coolest characters ever. It's actually this nice, kind of like godlike religious looking spirit. It's a caring angel watching over the family in the form of a tree. The tree can do anything, and it ends up making a cure for Courage to help heal Muriel's illness while Eustace is trying to kill it. Like, he is a scary, like a tree monster. Eustace is mad because he can't even grow weeds, but that stupid dog can grow massive trees. Yeah, love the tree. The tree is awesome. Tragically, the tree does die. Eustace gets his way again. He cuts down the tree, but with the last of his life force, he gives enough formula for Courage to make the cure. He just needs to mix it with the hornet honey. And Courage has that hilarious moment. He crawls into a hornet nest and screams in pain as we cut to a nice valley. Yeah, the tree sacrifices his life, giving a cure to cure Muriel's illness. Muriel is cured from her big head syndrome, and we get a spark of hope that the tree is regrowing. After it was cut down, we see a flower growing, hinting that the tree may be back someday. Tragically, we never got to see it again because it was a one-shot character, but I love the tree going into S tier. He is the greatest tree ever. Alright. Okay, making sure. Alright. So, who to do next? Got a lot of characters still to work with. We'll bump off Shirley, the medium. The stupid one is stupid, yes? Yeah, Shirley also gone on to S tier. We'll put her next to the computer. Shirley, the medium, is a psychic lady. Some people theorize she's a cat. No, she is a chihuahua. She's a chihuahua dog who can speak fluently, unlike Courage. Shirley, the medium, is basically a psychic who occasionally helps Courage and Eustace whenever Eustace pays her with a lot of problems. Sometimes she's an antagonist, but most of the time she's a helper. She's another supernatural character, but one of the rare Courage allies, and Who doesn't like Shirley? She's sassy, she's snarky, she is actually one of the more rational, reasonable characters on the show, and has all those funny one-liners and gadgets and gizmos that help the family. Shirley is my favorite. Don't worry, James, she's up high. The stupid one is stupid. Like Mary Testa played her. Okay. Yeah, I like Shirley the Medium. She's helpful. She also appeared in a dozen episodes, like The Computer and Cats, though usually she helps Courage. Sometimes she's a villain, sometimes she's a monster against them. One most notable is the Swindling episode, where she gets screwed out of being paid by... She, like, sells a locket to Muriel, and Eustace gives her his deed to his oil farm, but this is not an oil farm, it's an oil bill. I've been swindled. And she casts a hex on Eustace and Muriel, forcing them to swindle each other for the rest of their lives. Courage is able to try and convince her to help, but Shirley actually is a nice person. She sees that her victims actually show love and compassion towards each other. Like, shows forgiveness. She's willing to forgive and forget if she can see good or the humanity in some of her victims. She sees like a couple who swindled her earlier by giving her a rotten banana. She turned their heads into bananas. But she sees the boyfriend is actually compassionate and caring about his girlfriend more than himself, so she lifts up the curse. And Eustace tries to break the swindling curse from Eustace and Muriel. Wow, all this time I thought she was a cat, but okay, she's a Chihuahua. Cute. Yeah, I thought she was a cat too, but no, Shirley is a Chihuahua. Apparently Wikipedia and the Courage Wikipedia confirm she's a dog. She's a Chihuahua. The Shirley episode, The Curse, The Medium, and The Box. Yeah, the Box one was also funny. The Scam and The Record Player. She appeared in a lot of episodes, and the one where Muriel refused to talk to Courage. Do the New Orleans snake play, please? Okay. Like, it's funny. Okay, wrap up. Shirley's a great character. Going on to S tier for sure. Okay, you want... Old Man Bayou. The Bayou Snake. He is going on to How Lovely. Yeah, I do like the snake. He is pretty creepy. So, Muriel gets infected with a magical sickness, and Courage has to go down to the secret swamps of nowhere to find a cure. These allegorical slaves send a message to Muriel and Courage to help. This is Big Bayou, their slave owner, this evil, magic-wielding serpent who lives in the Big Bayou swamps. He rules with an iron fist, and his slaves want to break free and escape his oppression. They needed Muriel and Courage's help, and it turns out they don't have the cure because it's in Big Bayou's Book of Magic. The snake, honestly a pretty interesting character. His big personality trait is that he's very egotistical. He loves himself. He keeps the slaves to make dummies out of his shedded skin. Big Bayou sheds off his skin like every day and every week, and dumps the skin to his slaves to build into cool statues to hang around his kingdom so he can admire himself in his own image. And Courage basically uses that against him. Courage manages to steal the magic book and bring his statues to life, where they kill Big Bayou. Spoilers, he did not die, he was actually enslaved. So, Jake the Snake. Though, a lot more effeminate and gay, though. Yeah, Big Bayou has, like, this effeminate, girly side. I guess it's supposed to be, like, this ambiguously gay stereotype. You don't want to hurt me, child. I love me. I love looking at me. As they say in the bayou, Bayou. The show creator played Big Bayou. Okay, that was Dilworth. Alright. It's like a human making dummies of dead skin and hair. Yeah, pretty creepy stuff, though. Big Bayou is a lot more comedic as a villain. I do like him. Pretty interesting. Got a real fairy tale style villain here. He is pretty threatening, pretty decent, and almost kills Courage. But yeah, he also wielded magic. We never get to see him wield this magic, but that's why he's in A tier. I'll put the snake onto How Lovely. Don't worry, Big Bayou, you're appreciated by the fandom. Okay, let's knock off Conway the Contaminist, who is going on to Stupid Dog. Okay, There is one thing I hate about this villain. He is gross. This is Conway the Contaminus, this gross 193-year-old old man who has become immortal because he lives off of grossness, off of bad health, toxicity, and a dump. Conway the Contaminus is a creature who lives off of pollution. It's disturbingly implied he used to be a human guy, but he realized the key to immortality is unhealthy living, like taking dirt baths, drinking radiation, not opening up windows to get the dirty air out. Basically, this guy is very gross, this disgusting junk man, and yeah, that's kind of why he's down here. Yeah, I know he's supposed to be gross on purpose, but boy, did the show do too good of a job for this guy. Nostalgia Critic Shark Tale review, especially at the end about Fred. His traits is he's a narcissist. Yep, he loves himself. Mad Dog or the King of Flan. Alright, we'll do him next. Who played him? I'm pretty sure Chauffeur played Conway the Contaminus. It sounds like one of his characters. But Conway the Contaminus basically spreads his literal toxic lifestyle onto the Bag family. Eustace and Muriel get infected by the radiation and start living in a pigsty. The farm becomes this gross, disgusting dump slash shithole, and Courage tries to get this guy out of here. Courage tries to fight him, tries to outsmart him. Conway wants to turn this into his own kingdom, and eventually Courage defeats him by vacuuming him out. They suck all the dirt, including Conway, out of the farm. He saves Eustace and Muriel, and Conway is sealed in a hot air balloon with his own disgusting stink and grossness. Like all the trash, all the dump stuff, all the toxicity. He's trapped in a giant hot air balloon connected to the vacuum, and Courage sends him flying off. Conway is actually happy in the end, but yeah, just a gross villain. He is disgusting. That is why he's going on to Stupid Dog. Upon your shiny head a curse, long as your soul lives in your purse, and with your coins you cannot part, your sky shall be as dark as your heart. Yeah, Shirley rocks. Okay, somebody wanted the King of Flan. This guy honestly might put him low on how lovely. This is the King of Flan, a corrupt businessman who wants to sell his fantasy flam. For those of you who don't know, flam is kind of a dessert. It's low-key kind of a cheesecake. He's selling flam and desperately wants to sell his product, so he invents a commercial that hypnotizes people into buying fantasy flan. And of course, Eustace and Muriel are among the victims who get caught. He's going on to A tier because this guy nearly succeeds. He actually succeeds at getting people addicted to flam to the point where they're all like drug addicts and killing each other over the flan. You got the flan, dog? Give me the flan, dog. Even the doctor gets infected. Eustace and Muriel start eating flan and become horribly, morbidly obese. They become massively overweight, much bigger than the fat kid from Say Cheese and Die Again, and are at risk of slowly killing themselves eating this flan. Courage makes his way to Fantasy Flan HQ, confronting the evil businessman, and he's this weird fat guy who turns into like a rolling pinball like Sonic the Hedgehog and pursues Courage. He wants to turn the world into a fantasy world and get everyone addicted to his product. And Courage has a hilarious fight with him. Courage accidentally gets mesmerized by the commercial, is trying to fight him. I do love that he actually vomits on this guy and he's still coming for him. George Popo played him. A drug episode like Catching Cold. Yep, it's Spanish Cake. The King of Flan. The goddess next mine. You love that character, huh? Here's a fun fact. The Parachute Woman is voiced by Nancy Grabstein, who is Courage's voice actor's wife. Okay. He was in Sesame Street and Dora the Explorer. Yeah, I recognize his voice from a lot of children's shows. Courage eventually destroys his broadcasting tower. The tower collapses on him and he's accidentally mesmerized by his own commercial and becomes addicted to his own product. Courage uses a new broadcasting tower to break the mind control spell. He broadcast is an anti-flam commercial and breaks Eustace and Muriel free. Everyone's free, but now morbidly obese, and weirdly Courage doesn't break his own addiction. He's now addicted to the flan and eating it all along with this guy. I guess they became best friends and they're eating the flan together. That's showbiz, baby. Has the craziest Courage laugh at the end. Yeah, this guy put him on an A. First off, he's an actual threat and nearly defeats Courage, so he wins points for that alone. Ultimately, though, he's defeated by his own commercial, hoisted by his own petard. Yeah, I'll put him on an A tier. Pretty cool villain. Alright, next, you want the Storm Goddess. Courage the Cowardly Dog meets X-Men Storm. And Stormy going on to star. Yeah, I really like this character. Yeah, she is pretty. Courage the Cowardly Dog meets Storm. This is the Storm Goddess. I love stormy weather, one of my favorite episodes ever. And yeah, Courage the Cowardly Dog actually had another hot chick character. This immortal Storm Goddess. The Storm Goddess is depressed and chances upon the farm in the middle of nowhere. She's crying because she lost her dog, Duncan, and wants to use Courage as a replacement dog. She forces herself into the Bag family's house because she wants to adopt Courage. She likes playing with Courage, likes petting Courage, and Courage pretty much reminds her of her lost dog, Duncan. Duncan is this also an adorable pink dog, and she is kind of projecting a lot of her feelings onto Courage, forcing him to love her instead of his family. Same here, highly recommend her Rule 34 with very little there is. Yeah, love the Storm Goddess. She's so pretty. She's so hot. She's adorable and has this really soothing, nice girl voice. The Storm Goddess eventually tries to force Muriel to give up her dog, causes a hazardous storm upon the farm family. And points one because she accidentally kills Eustace. She brings a storm that destroys the farmhouse, and Muriel and the Storm Goddess are actually fighting over Courage, and the second half of this episode becomes Courage's hunt and rescue mission for her actual missing dog, Duncan. Courage goes on like an old-fashioned Greek epic hero's journey. It is a pretty fun episode. Courage finds that Duncan is addicted to this cursed bone, which causes dogs and whoever licks it to be addicted to it until the day they die. Duncan has been lost in this temple, licking a cursed dog bone for eternity. Courage tries to save him. He also gets addicted to the bone, leading to a lot of wacky antics. Courage manages to bring Duncan back to the Storm Goddess, but Duncan doesn't love her anymore. He wants the bone instead of her. And in Courage's one of more adorable moves, I do like this, Courage actually saves the day by pretending he loves the Storm Goddess, showing her love, and the Storm Goddess tries to move on from Duncan with Courage, only to make Duncan insanely jealous. The dog, loses its mind and kicks Courage away, crawling back to his owner, and the Storm Goddess gets her happy ending. She gets her lost dog back and decides that she's going to hang out with him and be a better dog owner to him, where they walk off into a brighter weather sunset. And Courage and Muriel are reunited, showing that there's nothing stronger than the love for your pet. The God Duck, yeah, he's on here too. Ashley Albert played the Storm Goddess. And we got the God Bone. Yeah, I love the Storm Goddess. She's so pretty. The mother of Eustace next, or the God Duck. Also, Scooby-Doo eats the God Dog bone, never die, like how immortal is Scooby-Doo. Scooby-Doo can never die. Yeah, love the Storm Goddess. She is so pretty, and she's also pretty hilarious too, like her petty tantrums with Muriel. Yeah, I'm gonna put her on to star. It's one of my favorite episodes ever, and the character, definitely a huge draw for the obvious reasons you suspect. Alright, speaking of which, let's get the other god character out of the way, the Goose God, who, honestly, going on to general, I thought he was also okay. We'll put him under Cajun Fox. This is the Goose God from The Gods May Be Goosey, a parody of a Greek god, and he's alright. Yeah, he's alright. Kind of if Dr. LeQuack was Thor. He's basically a Greek god. He hangs up in the clouds, but the god is lonely. The Goose God wants to fall in love and meet his perfect match, and unfortunately stumbles upon Muriel. Yeah, this episode is a pretty hilarious supernatural love triangle. The Goose God wants to hook up with Muriel and tries to steal her from Eustace, leading to a ton of rom-com style comedy. I did find this guy okay. Sometimes his long, eloquent soliloquies and monologues get a bit annoying. That's kind of why he lost points. They do kind of drag out his funny, godlike speech, his philosophical quipping, and yeah, it's real hit or miss, if I'm being honest. Yeah, he's Zeus. Like, ew, it feels like Zeus vibes. Yeah, basically, he's Zeus as a goose god. The goose god nearly abducts Muriel, but thanks to some shenanigans with Courage, accidentally falls in love with Eustace's car. Yeah, the car horn is like on the fritz and Courage starts playing it. Funniest joke of the episode, Courage accidentally gives Eustace a heart attack. Like, hits the faulty horn at him and it knocks him out. That was hilarious, best part of the episode. But when he honks the horn, the Goose God falls in love with Eustace's truck because it's like making goose noises like him, and he whisks Eustace's truck away with him to heaven to hook up and marry. Yeah, the Goose God and Eustace's truck get married, and he has babies with a car. And the truck is still up there as we see in a future sequel episode. Yeah, this guy had sex with a car. Yep, my kid gets 10 miles an hour. Why that ending? Yeah, pretty hilarious. They sent a postcard and he and the truck apparently had kids together. It's hilarious. But the character himself, he's alright. I'll put him on a general. It is a hilarious episode. One of the funniest, but the character himself, kind of hit or miss with some people. I'll put him on to B tier. Okay, we gotta pick up speed here. The Brain Monster. I will actually put him onto How Lovely. Yeah, I'll put him above some of these characters at least. Yeah, I'll put him under Schwick. The Brain Monsters, both of them. I'll also get his henchman on here. Kindness. Good. Yes. Yeah, I love these guys. They had really creepy designs. Both these guys, I'll put them together. Going on to How Lovely. This is the monster where they suck out Muriel's kindness, and yeah, these things are freaky. Love the weird alien designs. The brain guy honestly scared me more than the Harvest Moon spirit, mostly because he's like hiding in this Mr. Enter trench coat, pretending to be a friend of the family, and we see like when he takes a drink of Muriel's tea, it like seeps right through him because there's nothing under his coat. That was a really hardcore creepy scene. Basically, these aliens want to steal the emotion of kindness and give it to Father Brain here, because with kindness, he can learn what not to do when taking over the universe. Yeah, they're taking kindness to learn to not use it because kindness is a weakness. Pretty crazy story, but yeah, these guys, really freaky designs. I do like them. They're very eerie alien monsters. And Courage hilariously blows them up. Eustace's mother. Okay, we'll do her next. I mean, it could be worse. It could be Sean William Scott from the Dukes of Hazzard movie being in love with a car. Am I the only one who noticed that the truck has a face with the headlights like eyes and the grill has a mouth? Yeah, we all noticed that. John Adams played the alien brain. Yeah, feels like the Aqua Teen Hunger Force alien brains. Mother of Eustace, or the human fly with the tuxedo. Okay, we'll do Eustace's mother. Okay, wrap up. The aliens are pretty cool. Very freaky characters. Love this episode. They're going on to A tier. Unfortunately, they both die at the end, so yeah, they did lose. Okay, Eustace's mother. Stupid boy. Eustace's abusive mom. I will put her onto A tier. Yeah, it may upset some people, but I think she's fine as an antagonist. This is Eustace's abusive mother. She actually had a really nice, wholesome episode in the Mother's Day episode. Courage and Eustace go to visit his mom. The mom loves Courage more, but then when Eustace starts standing up for himself, they find out the mom's actually bald. She's wearing a wig. She thinks she's ugly, but has a wholesome, sweet moment with her son where they rebuild fences, amend fences. They become friends again, and the mom and Eustace have a nice, sweet bonding moment. And then, episode 2, onward with her, she becomes a full-blown villain. Basically, she's an evil psychopath trying to come up with get-rich-quick schemes, frequently annoying the hell out of the Bag family, trying to kill her stupid son and Muriel. Muriel and the mom do not like each other, and yeah, she's a bitch. Kind of a female version of Eustace, but much, much smarter and more threatening. My hair! My hair! Yeah, that happens in all her defeats. It gets kind of annoying. Billy Lou played her, like trying to kill a sand whale. Ever-growing wigs that basically became her weakness. Knocking off her wig basically breaks her. She has a meltdown and runs away. Almost dies trying to get her wig back in some episodes. But yeah, Eustace's mom, I think she has some funny moments. It's pretty hilarious that this psycho old lady is one of the deadliest villains on the show, but I like her fine. I just get tired of the my hair running gag. It does get annoying whenever they recycle it. Do you think she killed the older brother? Honestly, I do not. I think Horace died on one of his adventures. She preferred Eustace's brother more than her other son. Fun fact, the episode Mother's Day, it's where there's no supernatural phenomena occur, or it's a fairly lighthearted and not creepy. Yeah, it's one of the more down-to-earth episodes. She played Astro Boy first role, and Chris and Gizmo in the anime Superbook. Okay. Yeah, I'll put it on to A tier. We also have her agents on here. These agent guys are pretty cool. I'll put them low A tier. These are the weird ninja mercenaries who have that funny Mission Impossible theme. Yeah, these guys are pretty funny, but usually used in a sight gag. I'll put them on to A tier. I love that they transformed into cars at one point. Yeah, these are these weird ninja goons. Usually they serve Eustace's mother or the mysterious government agent guy. Pretty funny henchmen. We'll put them on to A tier. Yep. Alright. Let's do another good one. The McPherson Phantom. She is going on to Star. She is an S tier creature. Honestly, I found her scarier than the Harvest Moon Spirit. We'll put her under the Queen of the Black Puddle, but above Quentin Tarantella. Okay, this is the McPherson Phantom. She's the ghost of a vengeful widow who lost her loving husband when he was fed to the Loch Ness Monster. Yeah, the show is weird. She lost her husband and is out for revenge. Apparently, the murderer's ancestor is Muriel Bag, and she's trying to get back at Muriel by causing a breakup in her marriage. This phantom, really creepy, has this disturbed shadow woman / witch vibe to her. I really like how disturbed this monster is, and has that very creepy, ominous voice. I will get my revenge on the plump one, if it's the last thing I do. Has that disturbing reverb and witch cackle. Yeah, her voice is creepy as hell. That's what made her good. Who played her? Honestly, I thought it was Eustace's mom voicing her, because she and Eustace's mom have the same voice. The funny moment is when they stop to eat toast. Yeah. The episode where Eustace dies in an explosion because of anger. Yeah, that is funny. I don't think he made it on this list, though. If you think about it, she should have gone after Eustace, since that was his great-great-great-aunt who killed her husband. Yeah. So if you think about it, yeah, she should have gone after Eustace, but she teams up with Eustace's mom. They become a villain team throughout most of the episode. They're trying to break up Eustace and Muriel because they can't stand their happy marriage, but it turns out it was actually Eustace's mom's great-great-great-aunt who killed her husband. Yeah, she tells, like, in her therapy session that, oh, her great-great-great-aunt was a mean, nasty, abusive woman like her, and she killed this guy by feeding him to the Loch Ness Monster, and McPherson Phantom emerges and gets horrific revenge on Eustace's mom. She's, like, super pissed, and Eustace's mom tries to run away, and has this very dark moment where she chases her with lobsters in her hands. I feel so inadequate. Yeah. She like pulls out lobster claws as weapons and possibly killed Eustace's mom off screen. But yeah, this phantom, really creepy. One of the scariest mons, a Shadow Woman design. Alright, the Sand Whale. Ick it. ick it bag. Okay, the sand whale going card game to Eustace's dad. Yeah, the show is weird. He wants to get this accordion back, and he's stalking the Bag family, attempting to murder them in exchange for getting this bag. In exchange for getting his accordion back. He wants the accordion, going on a killing spree, destroys the farm, but he eventually takes Eustace and Muriel hostage until he gets his accordion back, where Courage is forced to team up with Eustace's mom because she has the accordion. She took it after her husband died, and is holding it as bait to lure in the sand whale. She wants to profit off of the sand whale catching him alive, in exchange using the accordion as bait, leading to a hilarious Moby Dick parody on land. And the sand whale, pretty funny character, really unique design and a unique concept. The sand whale swims on land and has this epic Moby Dick style fight with Eustace's mom and Courage. Yeah, he's pretty funny. Apparently the crew really love this character because they give him a post-credits scene. Looks so cool, like feels like Ghost Next Door. Yeah, the shadow monster looks like Dark Danny. Okay, the sand whale, pretty awesome. However, he's actually not an evildoer. He's actually a good guy. He just wanted his accordion back because it was ripped off from him. He lost it in a crooked card game to Eustace's dad. Then when he gets the accordion back, he releases Eustace and Muriel without fail, kills Eustace's mom, leading to the funny joke, "I'm glad we're all okay, but the whale got me ma. I'm glad everything worked out." Graboids did this better. Yeah, they did. It turns out the whale is actually a good guy, and he wanted his accordion back to be a part of his orchestra band. He plays it with the rest of the sand whales, and that's the end. Yeah, I think he's pretty good. Graboids are much scarier, the whale much funnier, but still, he'll go on to A tier. Oh man, we got a lot of characters still left. Let's do the Evil Weevil, who is also going on to S tier. Yeah, this guy, really creepy. This is the Evil Weevil, basically a literal parasite the family invites into their house, and the Weevil wants to kill and eat the Bag family. He's eating them like an insect, slowly draining them of their blood and organs until they eventually dissolve into nothing. He actually kills Eustace. Eustace dies, getting the life sucked out of him, and the Weevil fights Courage in an eating contest to save Muriel's life, where they have to eat disgusting foods, where they eat rancid broccoli, they eat disgusting dung, they eat toe jam from his insect toes. Yeah, it is really gross. Also gross episode, but I love this character's design. Like his creepy gentleman voice and his sassy, snarky sense of humor. This was a creepy monster, and the fact that he eats disgusting foods made him more gnarly. Still better Weevil than Weevil Underwood from Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah. Manny will like to meet him. Unfortunately, Courage defeats him. He takes his, mosquito insect sucker and puts it on, his own gut, where he kills himself and shrinks down to the size of a regular bug. Stupid dog! And he kicks Courage in the shin and walks off defeated. Manny would like to meet him. Yep, he would. Literally Cell from Dragon Ball. Yep. A sand whale. Yeah, I think the Evil Weevil, pretty cool and creepy design. A lot of gross out with this character, but much better than Conway the Contaminus' gross out, because his was played for horror. He's gone on to S tier. Alright, next, let's do Robot Randy. Robot Randy also going on to Star. Yeah, I like this guy too. This is Robot Randy, a hilarious killer robot with the voice of Christopher Walken. But I don't want to destroy stuff. I want to whittle reindeer. Robot Randy, hilarious episode. One of the greatest episodes of the show. Randy is actually a tragic villain. He is picked on, bullied, and written off as a nobody. He's a failure in the eyes of his robot society. He's casted off where he has to conquer something or never come back home. And he conquers Earth, taking over the farm where they build statues in his honor. And basically, we find out there's more to him than meets the eye. Robot Randy is actually this misunderstood loner who likes to whittle reindeer and create art. And apparently somebody said he's like used as an allegory for being homosexual and not accepted for his sexual orientation. I don't really buy into that. I think it's more so he's an outsider because they laugh off at his creativity and the fact that he likes to create instead of destroying. Robot Randy eventually loses Earth to Courage when he beats him in a breakdancing competition. Courage breakdances his way to the top, he spares the Bag family, and the family actually show him kindness and compassion, encouraging him to adopt his creativity, to whittle reindeer some more, and sell it, make a success of himself through the actual talent he likes to do. He discovers he likes to create things, goes back to his planet, and makes a fortune selling his reindeer, and now stands up for himself by killing idiot bullies. Yeah, so can you make anything else? He like shoots this robot to death. Really funny. Dark twist ending. The robot, you don't like my reindeer, so I'll destroy you. Love the dance off of this about as much as the dance off with Voltron from Robot Chicken. Yeah. The Weevil Fly is scary. Definitely an underrated episode like this one, and Robot Randy was great. Yep. Evil Weevil was really creepy. I'm a failure. To Fred, the main guy, gave us nightmares. Oh, you missed that anime night. We talked about Freaky Fred. He's right here on Beats here. He's on General. Sorry, just catch up on comments. Yeah, love the dance-off. The robot was pretty funny. You don't like my reindeer, so I'll destroy you. And spoilers for Billy Have a Mom. So, it is a funny robot alien. Better than my robot, yeah. Who is the Oprah-looking woman? Who are you talking about? Are you talking about the Storm Goddess up here? Yeah, the Storm Goddess made to S tier. You missed it, Shadowlink. We had to talk about how hot she was. And she was a funny, misunderstood villainess. Yeah, this is the Storm Goddess, if that's who you're talking about. The Oprah-looking villain, if you're talking about down here. Oh, this is Muriel's identity thief. This is the evil woman. She's an identity thief and a burglar. I'm gonna put her onto General. So, this woman and her husband, who's a disembodied hand like the Thing from Addams Family, stumble upon the Bag family, and she steals Muriel's identity, pretends to be a friend, but is really conning her out of her identity so she could impersonate her while pulling bank thefts. They're like robbing places, they want to steal a valuable jewel, and Muriel is used as kind of their patsy, their fall girl, if you will. She studies Muriel, steals her identity. There's something kind of creepy about her because she has these creepy red eyes, but appears mostly human. She steals Muriel's identity, dresses as her, dyes her hair like her, wears her same clothes, and studies everything about Muriel, so the police will think that Muriel is the one who stole the diamond. Even when they drive by the police right in front of them with Muriel in the same area. See, that's you stealing the diamond. Really funny joke. I thought this villainess was okay. Her husband was much creepier because he's this disembodied arm. He's kind of like the Thing from the Addams Family, and a lot of threat and focus is on him. Alright, the identity thief. Yeah, the episode is kind of forgettable. One of the more weaker episodes. The villainess is okay. I do like how she is a very serious threat, but nothing much. Like how is dancing gay? That's the thing, Akira. I think the fans are kind of wrong on that theory. No, she's still down there. Okay. Do Fusili, the great Fusili disturbing ending. Okay. Like funny moment. Like why evil clone of Muriel? Because it was interesting. Okay, you want the great Fusili, voiced by Jim Cummings, who is going on to S tier, and he's going very high for one big reason. Fusili won. He won at the end. Even though he lost, he still got the victory in the end. This is the great Fusili, voiced by Darkwing Duck himself, Jim Cummings. He's the creepy director puppet master traveling with Fusili's traveling theater. He stumbles upon the farm and wants to convince the farmers to become entertainers, a part of his magical theater. However, in a very dark and disturbing twist, Fusili is actually a demented serial killer who kills his star performers by using magic to turn them into puppets. He has like an entire room of people he's abducted and killed, turning them into puppets to entertain him forever. And Eustace and Muriel fall prey to the puppet magic. They turn into puppets, and Courage basically fights them all throughout the episode. The character is really creepy, has this dramatic showman vibe to him, kind of a circus ringleader act. Jim Cummings gives him a very eerie voice. Soon you will be a part of the act, forever. Like, funny. Jim Cummings is one of the best voice actors ever. Fully agree. A very dark ending. So, Fusili chases Courage. Courage accidentally gets covered in powder, looks like a phantom, scares him off, and Fusili gets this very creepy death scene. He lands on the middle of his stage, but because he's a narcissist who loves the spotlight, he gives off a performance, "How now, brown cow," and accidentally falls prey to his own magic. He's hoisted by his own petard and turns into a puppet himself. Fusili sort of dies, but it's kind of weird. They like hint that he's still alive in there somewhere. He's still talking with Jim Cummings' voice and becomes a victim of his own theater, and that's kind of the end of him. But what people remember is the ending. Fusili's up here because he effectively won. Eustace and Muriel are dead and they're still puppets, leading to one of the darkest endings of the show. Eustace and Muriel are puppet corpses Courage is playing with in the house and trying to pretend they're still alive to mimic that nothing's wrong, nothing changed, and he's still living out a normal life even though Eustace and Muriel are puppet corpses. Yeah, kind of like the Uncle Howie ending, but to the extreme. He's playing with them as puppets and pretend. The things I do for love. Yeah, it ends on one of the darkest endings ever. Courage has gone crazy and is playing with his owner's corpses, pretending that everything's still normal and they're just living life as usual. Darkest twist ending. So slappy, cult member. Yep, Puppet Master Crocodile. Remember the end where Courage even controls the Eustace puppet and does his scary mask and Courage got scared? Yeah. Can you do Dr. Gerhard von Orbsen and his house? Okay. So, based on the Puppet Master movies, yeah, kind of. This guy, going on to S tier because 1, Jim Cummings is awesome. 2, he actually succeeded in killing Eustace and Muriel. Courage escaped, but is forever traumatized. So it will put him on the star role. Okay, now we get to the house. But I'm not on Courage. Not you, house. This house. Going on to How Lovely. Alongside, there he is, Dr. Gerhard. Gerhard and his house. Going on to A tier. How Lovely. Dr. Gerhard is a genius scientist who studied sound and music, and he lives in a sentient house. However, the house is an insane yandere, jealous of everyone, and doesn't want to share her man with anyone. Yeah, kind of in a similar vein to Monster House, Gerhard and the house are a couple, and they use music to summon neighbors. Gerhard wants friends, he wants to socialize, he wants to have a life outside of his home. The home is a sentient creature, similar to our Haunting Hour house here, who doesn't want to let go. She is very clingy. Basically, this is what if the house and Alice grew up, if Alice made it to adulthood. The doctor wants to make friends, he wants neighbors, he uses his magic to summon the Bag family farm to his area, finally having neighbors, but the house goes nuts and has a violent tantrum trying to kill them all. Basically Monster House before, well, Monster House. Yeah, it is Monster House. It's a lonely old guy and his wife who's a house. It's kind of funny. Monster House pretty much ripped this off. It said that the house inspired Monster House. That wouldn't surprise me. Like, this is just Geppetto, Crypt TV should have been. Yep. Haunting Hour dark ending. It's that disturbing. Yeah. So what do you think about the house and the Courage Cowardly Dog haunted house? Oh, I really like it. It's gone on to A tier. The house is pretty cool, and this house can actually attack on the outside. Yeah, we don't see it turn into a CGI snake. It instead uses like uses like a weather vane to attack people, uses antennas, uses like the foundation and bricks and wooden legs to beat up the farmhouse. Courage is actually able to redeem these characters. The Dr. Gearhart is actually a nice guy, which is why he's not going on to S tier, but the house actually gets redeemed. The house just wanted a makeover. They spruce up the house, paint her pink, fix all her broken parts, rebuild her into a loving, caring home. The house becomes good thanks to the TLC from Courage and the Doctor, and Dr. Gearhart gets his happy ending. He finally gets neighbors. An entire city's like constructed in 5 seconds outside. Cartoon logic. And the house and Dr. Gearhart are finally happy, but tragically, the mayor is ordering the farmhouse off the premises and they can't be neighbors because status quo. Yeah, so the farmhouse hilariously gets destroyed as Courage and the house are bonding and hugging each other. Pretty funny ending, yeah. These characters, pretty awesome. I do like them. The house is a very creative villain and very visually stunning. Dr. Gearhart is a nice tragic antagonist. I'm very glad they got a happy ending. We'll put him on to How Lovely. Unfortunately, they would not stay forever. So, what do you think, House, about the Courage the Cowardly Dog haunted house? Oh, I like her. She should be my neighbor. My favorite part of the ending, that because of the makeover, entire neighborhood was created and the mayor told the Bags to leave with their farmhouse or it gets destroyed. This episode and The Great Fusilli are haunting our Courage episodes. Exactly. Okay, so the house and the doc, going on to A tier. Okay, Dr. Zalost. We'll put him on to S tier. Yeah, I love the doc. I'll put him under the magic tree. This is Dr. Zalost and his sidekick, Rat. Rat I might put on to A tier, honestly, because he's a henchman. Okay, Dr. Zalost and Rat from the Tower of Dr. Zalost are pretty entertaining villains. Basically, the doc is a symbolic representation of depression. The doc is horribly unhappy and depressed and spreading his depression onto others with his Dark Tower. Yep, a much better Dark Tower story than the Matthew McConaughey movie. I know someone's gonna say it. Dr. Zalost is a very interesting character. He's clinically depressed, he can't find happiness, he holds the city hostage, then when they pay his ransom, he's still unhappy. The money did not make him happy. This is his sidekick Rat, who's also kind of a depressed sidekick. The Rat is like this clinically depressed henchman who Dr. Zalost wants to hug and get some love out of, but the Rat is having none of it. Rat, give me a hug. And the music in this episode is catchy and golden. Yeah, the music of this episode, it is magnificent. One of Courage's best soundtracks ever, and that is saying something. Actually, the mayor said they aren't zoned for farmhouses and told them to leave or they'll destroy the house. Well, they destroyed it anyway. Awesome villain and great episode. The first villain in a full-length episode. Yeah, the first half-hour Courage episode, not one of the shorts. I am not happy, and if I am not happy, nobody gets to be happy. Rat, give me a hug. Agree. Okay, Dr. Zalost, I do like him. He nearly destroys the entire world, making it depressed, shooting a cannon at people, making them just as unhappy and depressed as he is. Eventually, he stumbles upon the farm. Muriel gets hit, but Eustace survives. He must be immune to emotion. Courage goes to the tower to find a cure, a way to stop the villain and help Muriel. He eventually defeats the doc, and we find out that basically, he's just very sad. He's a sad, lonely old guy with nobody who loves him, always feels miserable, and just wants to feel love, wants to feel happiness, wants to feel like his life has meaning. Courage destroys the Dark Tower much faster than it took Matthew McConaughey, and basically turns the unhappiness into joy. The depression balls turn into happiness balls and launch everywhere. The tower's destroyed, it falls apart. Rat gets hit by a happiness ball and turns into a baby. Dr. Zalost loses everything, tries to go out taking down Courage, hilariously accidentally kills Eustace, but He eats the happy plums and they turn him normal. Dr. Z finally finds happiness, he feels good, and he and Rat actually fix their bond. Rat turns into a baby who loves him and looks up to him again, and they decide to turn over a new leaf and become good guys. Hilariously after they killed Eustace, but it's Eustace, who cares? Yeah, pretty good villains. I like that they represent depression because it made them very compelling and honestly relatable to some people. Very glad he got his happy ending. Is my happy jelly Muriel? Like, this is cool. Eustace dies from unhappiness. Yeah, he got shot too many times. Pretty sure this was the only full-length episode. Wrong, Shadowlink, you forgot the other one, The Mask. Yeah, let's get Kitty up here. Kitty going on to Star. Yeah, I'll put her under the nature goddess, but above Robot Randy. Yes, let's talk about it. Let's talk about The Mask, the other full-length episode. I give you $20, give me a chance. Who likes to buy you a letter? Yeah, that was a funny scene. He's playing like Hangman Wheel of Fortune. Would you like to buy a vowel? Okay, moving on to The Mask, we meet Kitty, who is given one of the unintentionally creepiest designs ever. This is a very surreal monster and has one of the most compelling backstories ever. Kitty is wearing a mask to hide herself and shield herself from reality. Kitty also suffers depression, but a lot of anger. Kitty is a nomad wandering the middle of nowhere, nothing left to live for, and full of so much hatred, which she unleashes upon poor Courage. Yeah, Kitty is a sexist / racist towards dogs and hilariously pummels Courage. It turns out Kitty lost her best friend to a terrible boyfriend, and she's wallowing depression, denial, and guilt, hiding behind a mask. If you're wondering, the twist is very surprising. Kitty is a cat girl. She's a cat similar to Cats, but a female version. She's hiding under this creepy robe, kind of escaping from the world, adopting a new identity to shield herself from the pain. She rooms with the Bag family farm to give her shelter, and she is very much angry and bitter, always calling them out, always lashing out at Courage, and unleashing a lot of her inner pain and hatred upon others. Courage tries to get her out of their life by going to save her lost best friend, Bunny, and Bunny is in bed with the true villain, Mad Dog. And yeah, Mad Dog also going on to S tier because he is a disturbingly, graphically realistic depiction of a domestic abuser. Mad Dog is this creepy, abusive gangbanger who is living on the wrong side of the track, literally, holding Bunny hostage. They never explicitly state this, but it's implied Kitty and Bunny might be prostitutes who serve under him. I take you from a 2-bit joint and make you a class act, and you want to make me second rate? If I even smell Kitty, I'll bury the two of you. Yeah, this guy, creepy as hell. And he's the reason why Kitty hates dogs. Kitty adopts some racist habits because of this one bad dog who makes their kind look bad. And Mad Dog pretty much made cartoon history as a realistic depiction of a domestic abuser. That was the easiest $20 I ever made. Yeah, Eustace loved that gag. Really funny joke. Like happy plums. Barbara McCullough is the voice actress known for Kitty. Like Mad Dog is the Komashita from Persona 5 of Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yeah, these two pretty much legendary characters. Kitty is like a former abuse victim turned abuser. Mad Dog, full-blown abuser and a gang thug. He and his band of dogs are like hanging out in this shithole ghetto, hanging out in a motel. He effectively holds Bunny hostage. They make it loud and clear Bunny does not like being in a relationship with anymore. He yells at her, pretends to act comforting a few seconds later. He holds Bunny pretty much captive, and Bunny's trying to escape only to get beaten, abused, and held hostage effectively until Courage comes to be the hero saving the day. Courage has this epic violent throwdown with Mad Dog, beats the hell out of his goons. Like he turns off the light switch, beats them with a shovel, but eventually what made Mad Dog easily the most despicable villain, if the abuse wasn't bad enough, when Bunny tries to run away with Courage, he attempts to run her down in his car. He pursues after her, and if he can't have Bunny, he tries to kill her. Tries to run her over, but Courage saves the day, crashes them into a train, and Mad Dog is killed. Except they kind of censor this by showing, he's comedically beaten up like a Looney Tune. I did think the original ending implied he died, but yeah, they inserted this funny gag where we see him doing the funny laugh. He's like ran over. Yeah, I'm sure he died. Yeah, Mad Dog, evilest SOB ever, and Kitty actually gets a redemption arc. She has a freak out where she finds out that Courage stole her toy that Bunny gave her, but reunites with her lover, and they can be best friends forever, riding off into the train together, finally happily reunited, and Kitty gets over her hatred of dogs. Kinda wish there was a bit more to her apologizing to Courage. That's a great episode. No, Kira, they're best friends. I swear, episodes about making masks have always been great. Yeah, the haunted mask, the black mask, and now Courage the Cowardly Dog. Oh, and Gotham with that Red Hood episode. They took a lot of creative liberties out of this episode. They make Kitty, Antakami, and Bunny Siho. The Mask, the most controversial episode in Cartoon Network history, and for good reason too, but it is a damn good episode. Love both Bunny and Kitty. Yeah, we all love them. Let's not forget the mini plot of Eustace and Muriel with the eating and the not fixing anything. Yeah, basically both kind of accept each other for their flaws, realizing nobody's perfect, and Eustace and Muriel actually get a wholesome moment where they amend their marriage. I'm surprised they were able to get away with airing an episode like this. Well, this was pre-internet. The internet was not a huge thing, and people weren't on social media complaining about things or people looking up stuff. So it was a lot easier to get past, and Bunny and Kitty are best friends and nothing more. Plus, we never really see the abuse happen on screen, outside of the emotional abuse. That was able to get past. Physical abuse, that happened off screen. Like how they got it censored. Some stuff was censored, like Mad Dog was supposed to die in the original script, but we see him comedically beaten at the end. The ending was so sweet with Kitty and Bunny. Now we can become best friends forever. I wouldn't be surprised if they adopted a puppy and named him Courage. That would have been a sweet cherry on top. Like, so much better than Harley and Ivy. Yeah, way better, because Ivy is also an abuser. The Mask, the most controversial episode in Cartoon Network history, but a very good masterpiece. Why does a kid's show have better representation of abuse than most adult shows? Because most adult shows are very insecure that they're adult cartoons, so they have to make them funny and comedic. Okay, also, why that mask of a pretty face? I guess because Kitty used to believe she was pretty. It's implied they were prostitutes at one point, so she's trying to recover an innocent-looking beauty, but it looks very creepy. Best friends, Rule 34 says otherwise, and I welcome it. Agree. Yes, a very good masterpiece indeed. Yeah, of course, Mask Kitty and Mad Dog, easily top-tier villains. They're going on to S-tier for sure. Mask is a good episode, and wouldn't you know, it had some of the best antagonists. Alright, next let's do the dolphin. The dolphin's going on to needs vinegar. So, Eustace gets into a race with this dolphin, Jojo. Jojo is this performing dolphin who upstages Eustace, makes Eustace feel like less of a man, emasculates him, and it's a very weird Eustace episode. Eustace gets his groove back, rebuilds his confidence, out with the old self, in with the new self, and races this dolphin. The dolphin is Basically, an egotistical celebrity. He's high and mighty, superior to everyone, thinks he's better than all, and Eustace races him and beats him in a race to prove that he is a badass man and better than a dolphin. Yeah, this show is weird, and it turns out JoJo is actually a tiny fish inside a dolphin suit to appear bigger than he is. Make of that what you will. Yeah, JoJo definitely needs improvement. This is not really a villain. He's just like an egotistical, arrogant bully, and he gets put in his place, and the twist kind of confuses me. Yet he and his manager are actually smaller animals in these bigger bodies. It's a weird episode. A good episode, but JoJo, kind of the weakest part of it. We're gonna put him on Needs Vinegar. Treehouse of Horror, did the dolphins were better? Yeah, way better. She was psychologically damaged, so that explains the mask. Yeah, Mad Dog is a pit bull. That's his breed. Or maybe she's hiding from the world because she lost her friend. She says, I simply don't wish to face reality. And that's all the hint we get. Simpsons dolphin episode, way better. Yeah, what a big fish in a dolphin suit. It's a good Eustace episode, but JoJo, not all that compelling an antagonist. Alright, let's do The Name's Man, Snowman, who is going on to... That's why they call you General. Okay, gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I am not a huge fan of the Snowman. He does this Sean Connery voice and a lot of James Bond references. The Snowman episodes, they're decent, entertaining, but the character, I'm not a huge fan of him. I found him a lot more annoying and boring, and his Sean Connery voice wears out its welcome long into the episode. The name's Man, Snowman. I give you the cold finger. The Snowman isn't entirely evil in his second episode. In his first one, yeah, he's a full-on villain. He wants to stop his kingdom from melting. He's saving the North Pole, doing experiments on Eustace and Muriel to get basically their DNA to make the ultimate mixture where he won't melt, and he tries to kill them. The second episode kind of gave him a redemption arc where he wants to stop global warming. There's a hole in the ozone and it's killing the North Pole, destroying and melting all my friends. So he tries to make a new North Pole in the middle of nowhere. And this episode was a lot funnier. I do like the song, Let's Go Snow, yo, oh, Snowman. Weird song. Also, he's evil in the first appearance. In the second one, he's redeemed. Yeah, they kind of wanted to give this guy a second chance and redeem him. I think he's okay. The Snowman is not one of my favorite characters, and honestly, I usually skipped his episodes because the Sean Connery voice got very irritating, and they were kind of confused on what to do with this character. In the first, he's kind of a tragic villain. He's kind of evil that he wants to kill the Bag family. Then in the second one, they give him a redemption arc. What, a big fish in a dolphin suit? What? Yeah, that actually happened. Like I thought it looked like the Headless Snowman from Scooby-Doo Christmas Special. Kind of did. The two teddy bears and the worm necks. Alright. This is We Get Beware the Snowman. The episodes themselves are fine, but the villain, he's okay. Going on to B tier. Okay. Tulip's Worm, who isn't really a villain, but we'll put Tulip's Worm also on General, along with her teddy bears. So, these two sentient teddy bears are hunting for Tulip's pet worm. It turns out to be this big-ass alien graboid thing, and the graboid accidentally eats the teddies and Muriel, and Courage goes on a crazy-ass Star Trek across the stars in order to save them. Basically trying to get the worm to barf out the teddy bears. The teddy bears are kind of funny. They shoot first, ask questions later, and tend to forget that they shouldn't shoot people before finding out intel. You do a very good impression. You should do a fanfic episode. Oh, thank you, James. Like Jack Frost is better. Tell us where the worm is, or fry. Tulip is the blue-skinned girl. Yeah, I don't think Tulip herself is on this tier list. Tulip's basically this little girl who's actually a ginormous kaiju alien. The teddies are dispatched to recruit the worm, and Courage inadvertently saves everyone. He goes inside the worm, gets them out just in time. Tulip nearly turns evil on them, tries to adopt Muriel and Courage, but they get away. Yeah, the episode itself is good. The villains slash monsters, they're okay. The teddy bears have some funny moments. I might put them above the worm at least. The worm is just a pet worm. It's dangerous, but ultimately a nice guy. But yeah, we'll put Tulip's teddy bears and the worms on okay. They're going on general. Like this beast go eats worms. Who else had a one-time crush on the alien girl? Yeah, Tulip is this suave British girl. I can see children crushing on her. I did not. I was not into her and way too old for her now. Yeah, a lot of people love Tulip. The episode itself is good. The characters as monsters, they're okay. Alright, want to narrow down some characters. Let's get rid of the island natives. The family go to Hawaii, and this island native tries to kill them. He's going on needs vinegar. This island guy tries to sacrifice Muriel to a volcano, believing the gods are going to destroy the Hawaiian Islands unless they give them a sacrifice. And they're going to sacrifice Muriel. And this guy, pretty much a non-character. He's not even the main villain. The main villain is actually this evil businessman, this real estate agent, who, he's pretty funny, but I'm gonna put him onto general. Yeah, in a very weird adventure, there's a real estate scam / Scooby-Doo hoax going on. This real estate agent is actually trying to drive the natives out of the Hawaiian Islands, has this weird office with super duper AC machines. I just find it funny that he's like so nonchalant, basically a corrupt businessman trying to scare the natives off, so he decides he's going to kill them all and start over fresh. He activates the volcano after Courage tells him that they're sacrificing people here, tries to make a getaway in his snowmobile, only to lose it to Courage, who saves the day and puts out the lava. The guy somehow survives. It turns out there was a volcano god. It punishes him and forces him to be a sex slave for the chief's daughter. Yeah, this guy, okay, has some funny moments, though. Kind of a weird, grounded in reality villain. The native chief, not really a villain, but he is a threat. I'm gonna put him on needs vinegar. Has some funny moments, but that's about it. Do the Sandman, like Pell, like the AC machines. Canadians, why is it always worms with ya? Okay, you want the Sandman. The Sandman cometh. Yeah, the Sandman, who steals Muriel's sleep because he himself cannot sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna put him onto 8s here. I like the Sandman episode. It is a more restricted episode, not as crazy. The Sandman is the legendary Sandman we all know and love. He puts people to sleep, but ironically, he cannot sleep. He himself wants a good night's rest, and he steals Muriel's sleeping ability because Muriel is a super sound sleeper. See, they did carry that off from the Cajun Fox. He steals Muriel's dream powers and finally gets a good night's sleep. Unfortunately, this ruins Muriel's life. Muriel is completely suffering from insomnia. She can't go to bed. She's drowsy, delirious, and going crazy. Doesn't know what's going on. She hasn't, slept for days, leading to Courage going to the Sandman's sandcastle to steal her dreaming back. And it actually turns out the Sandman is a nice guy. He doesn't want to surrender Muriel's sleep because it's the best night's sleep he's ever had in his life. He wants his own happiness, but it turns out all he needed was his teddy bear. He lost his loving teddy bear, and Courage finds it hidden under his giant-ass king-size mattress and gives it to him, where the Sandman turns good and gives Muriel back her sleeping ability. Kind of a very wholesome fairy tale monster. I do like this character. I'll put it on to 8s here. Opinion on the Hunchback of Nowhere. Opinion on Hothead. Hothead's a hilarious episode. Hunchback of Nowhere, that made my top 10. Watch that video for my thoughts and better wording. But yeah, I do find him great. The Sandman feels like a Goosebumps monster from Give Yourself Goosebumps. Yeah, he does, but that's why he's fun. Fun fact, the Sandman in the original tale is a Birdman that steals kids' eyes to feed it to babies. Like the Sandman tale always takes people's eyes if they don't go to sleep. Yeah, the Sandman used to be a horror tale, but they turned him into a nice guy. Since Sandman is even more different than Marvel's Sandman. Yeah, way different. Okay. Hunchback of Nowhere. The Hunchback knockoff Quasimodo. Going on to S tier. And yeah, I'll put him under Mad Dog because he's not a villain, but he is a cool character. Who doesn't love the Hunchback? You, sir, are extremely bald. Yeah, the Hunchback of Nowhere. The monster is actually a nice guy. Knockoff Quasimodo is trying to find a place to live, and he stumbles upon the family farm. Eustace is at maximum dick capacity in this episode, acting like a total idiot bully. He tells the Hunchback to beat it because he's ugly, but Courage actually befriends the monster, leading to one of the most wholesome, touching episodes in the series. Courage and the monster become friends, and the Hunchback is actually a cool guy. He's nice, he's friendly, he's optimistic, and he stands up to defend Courage from bullies, because he himself is kind of bullied because of his hideousness. He's ugly and people judge him on his appearance and treat him like a literal monster. But no, he's misunderstood. He's a nice guy, he's good at playing the bells, good at art, and makes Courage laugh and see more worth in himself. This is one of the best characters of the franchise, so of course he's going on to S tier. He stands up to Eustace, and that automatically made him a badass. You wanna see ugly? Stupid dog. Ah! Eustace accidentally falls off and hurts himself. Yeah, him hurting Eustace definitely won him. Kindness touching his heart. And yeah, of course he's gone into S tier. Of course he's up top. This guy is great. I love him. Opinion on the Curse of Shirley and the Medium, the weird hands in the box episode. I find it's funny. It's funny. Not one of my top 10 favorites, but that's about it. Are you bald? Yes. Like I remember there's a YouTube poop of this episode. Sounds funny. Okay, and the bells. Yeah, I love that he plays the bells. He encouraged Bond over that. Yeah, Hunchback, of course he's going on to S tier. He's in the top 3. One of the greatest characters of the show. He shows that even ugly monsters are not evil. He is an all-star. Alright, next let's do Swamp Thing. Looking for his Swamp Woman. I honestly might put him on low A tier. Yeah, this is the Swamp Thing. He is looking for his bride and mistakes Muriel as the bride. Swamp Woman. I believe this guy is voiced by Ron Perlman. Yeah, Ron Perlman voiced the Swamp Monster, and you can faintly hear his Slade voice in there, or his Hellboy voice. Yeah, the Swamp Thing wants to find his bride. He and Swamp Woman had an ugly breakup, and he wants to redeem their romance. He accidentally mistakes Muriel as his Swamp Woman. It turns out the Swamp Woman has very bad short-term memory, and forgot where she lived and never answered his calls. Yep, love the bells. We're monsters, but we're not monsters, like Everett is his name. Yeah, the swamp guy, pretty hilarious. Basically a generic horror movie monster. He goes around, he destroys the farm. Hilarious that Courage left a standee of himself screaming. The monster takes Muriel, and Courage fixes his relationship, gets the swamp woman back in his life, and they hook up only to fight again. You never got my messages. I forgot where I lived. Forgot where you lived? How do you forget where you live? Yeah, he's funny. I'm gonna put him onto A tier. Also very threatening. Courage actually doesn't beat him at all. He actually has to save his marriage with the swamp woman. And it is pretty hilarious if Ron Perlman did voice this character, because love hearing him on a Courage episode. Oh, he was voiced by Kevin Conroy. Really? Ron Perlman is a good voice actor. Okay, even better. If Kevin Conroy voiced him, then my props to him. It's either Ron Perlman or Kevin Conroy. I swear, somebody said it was Ron Perlman, and the credits did list him. Like, so funny. The Swamp Monster episode of Courage is better than the Swamp Monster of the Lost Tapes. Oh yeah, easily. Yeah, we'll put him onto A tier. How lovely. And he fixed his marriage for now. Bumping off one of the lamer monsters, the eggplants. The eggplants going on to needs vinegar. Yeah, do you guys remember this episode? The sentient eggplants. Muriel has been killing so many of their eggplant brethren, so the eggplants vow to kill and eat Muriel, causing an eggplant uprising where they become kind of this communist army trying to take over the farm. Lousy eggplants. I hate eggplants. Agree, V Scorpio. Yeah, like so funny. Okay, so the eggplants, I believe Carlos Alrazraqui voices one of the eggplants. I recognized his Laszlo voice as one of them. The eggplants want to take over the farm, and Courage tries to resolve things peacefully with them. The problem with this episode is they're sentient food. Couldn't this be solved with them eating the eggplants? But no, they take Muriel hostage, and basically the eggplants were grouchy because they lived in a desert. Courage manages to water them where they, I guess, get high from growing. Yeah, grow, baby, grow. Yeah, the eggplants just needed some water on them, and they're nice guys. This is like one of my least favorite episodes. It's not the worst thing ever, is full of some good jokes, but the eggplants are not very interesting villains. They definitely needed improvements. They needed vinegar. Yes, they're mad because of lack of water. Yeah, it was a drought. Look at the Courage Wiki, it's Kevin himself. Okay, is it Kevin Conroy? I'll have to look it up, but yeah, I thought it was Ron Perlman, okay? The foot monster next. The foot fungus. Alright, yeah, sure, yeah, the foot monster. Going on to B tier, we'll put him on to general. I'll put him above the worm, at least. This is the foot fungus monster, another gross character. Eustace gets a foot infection, and it turns into a giant sentient foot that wants to take over the world and commit mob jobs. Yeah, the foot talks like Al Capone and has gangster voices. Yeah, do as we say, see? Or the fat lady gets it. Yeah, the fat lady gets it. Or the fat lady gets it. Yeah, they all have like faces on the end of their toes. The monster is really disgusting. But he does have funny moments. He wants to rob a bank, then rob a train, and kick over Florida, see? Yeah, but you can't kick Florida. That's illegal, I think. Now, see here, you're going to everything I tell you, see, or the fat lady gets it. Now, see here, you're going to do everything I tell you, see, or the fat lady gets it. Yeah, the fat lady gets it. And the twist is, the foot fungus's cure is dog spit. Courage has to lick this disgusting infected foot to get rid of the infection and free Eustace. Work up a good drool, baby. Do the Curse of Ramses. I might save Ramses for last because everyone likes him so much. We'll see as we scroll along this list. But yeah, the foot fungus monster, really gross monster. I thought he was alright, had some funny lines. He's very quotable, but at the same time, could have used a few improvements. I do think other villains were more threatening and creepier than he was, but it's the episode that comes after King Ramses' curse, so you bet a lot of people saw this one. This guy, I think he's pretty good, and he does come back in the Legion of Doom. Somehow. Courage, like, licked him up, then he became Courage's tongue. Thank goodness this is a non-canon show, because, yeah, Courage gets him out of his tongue. Then he became a foot monster again, allying with Courage. It's kind of weird because this monster was created through Eustace and was connected to him. But yeah, the foot fungus guy came back and somehow remembered everything. You beat us good, see? Licked us good, see? Cooked us good, too. Yeah, the foot fungus comes in the Legion of Doom episode and he's the big brute of their team. Yeah, I think he's fine. We'll put him on to okay. Well, you gotta end on a high note after all. Seriously, who made this episode? Quentin Tarantino? Or Dan Schneider? Let's bump off the Librarian. The Librarian, also an okay monster. The Librarian has a haunted librarian, and it is not as good as Are You Afraid of the Dark's Librarian. She pretty much doesn't talk. She just goes, shh, shh, very creepily. Courage owes a fee for a long overdue book and has to raise money, where the librarian puts a curse on his family, turning Eustace and Muriel into characters from this fairy tale book, and Courage basically has to pay her money. Yeah, she's kind of a loan shark librarian, that's about it. I'm gonna put her on okay. She was fine. Episode is funny, mostly through Eustace and Muriel as fairy tale critters, but the librarian, she was Nah, if it was Muriel, would have been the one with the foot fungus and not Eustace. That would have made sense, but they didn't do that. Alright, let's do Rumpelstiltskin, who I thought was pretty funny. We'll put him on low 8 tier. Yeah, I'll put him under the Fantasy Flan guy. Okay, this is Rumpelstiltskin. From the fairy tale of the same name, Rumpelstiltskin is a corrupt businessman who lures Muriel out into Scotland to stitch him a bunch of different cloths to sell for his market, turning sheepskin into quilts and such, and Muriel is the best sewer in the world, I guess. He pretends to be her great Uncle Haggis, but you never had a great Uncle Haggis. Rumpelstiltskin is this mysterious businessman, and he's kind of a more so funny villain. He's Yosemite Sam, but Scottish. Yeah, that best sums him up. He's kind of Yosemite Sam, but a Scottish version of him. It turns out he doesn't like people saying his name, Rumpelstiltskin. He's embarrassed and ashamed of his name, to the point of outcasting his own mom. Yeah, his mom is like exiled from working for him and ever talking to him again. Courage gets the answer out of his mom why he's so angry, and they play like a hilarious game of charades where Muriel says his name, and Rumpelstiltskin basically has a breakdown, but Muriel actually shows care and compassion towards him where he redeems himself and decides to be a fair businessman. Kind of a random redemption arc, but yeah, I thought he was pretty funny. Better than less cringe than the Shrek Forever After Rumpelstiltskin. Yeah, nobody's smarter but me. Librarian was a bit of a dick, raising the price every time, pissing off Courage. Yeah, she sucked for that. Muriel's voice actress was a part-time librarian. Oh, interesting fact. Courage, Rumpelstiltskin, Shrek 4, Rumpelstiltskin, or Once Upon a Time, Rumpelstiltskin. Insert blue RPM Ranger Flynn line here. I'm Scottish. Yeah, I think he's pretty funny. We'll put him on low 8s here, but not really one of the threatening villains. Alright, let's do The Face in the Wall. This guy was pretty creepy, too. Courage and the gang go to Hollywood, where this creepy face in the wall runs this underground nightclub. Him, I might put on to How Lovely. Yeah, I'll put him under the pig guy. He is basically a metaphor for corrupt executives and agents. He lures in the Bag family into his nightclub, where he holds them hostage. They must perform for him or die. And he's this living sentient building, not to the same extent as House or the Courage House, but he has like this flesh pit area, looks like something from Alice Madness Returns. Basically, they're inside his body, and he's living off of performers and their talents to keep himself alive. Eustace ends up dying. Muriel almost dies, but Courage acts as a performer, and eventually helps him live again. The guy almost dies from a heart attack, but Courage saves him and shows him that human compassion and kindness is more vital to your heart than living off of talent. And he has this very wholesome redemption arc where he turns good, becomes a normal man again, and apologizes to the family, where he lets them legit perform with their own talents. All in all, he was just another face in the wall. Yeah, kind of. Like creepy, like Alice on My Old House. Yeah. A shame that Eustace's voice actor died. Both of his voice actors died. One died during the show's production. Monster House did this better. Yeah, it was a little better. I do like him for the wholesome twist ending, but yeah, I'll put him on to 8 here. Not one of the best monsters, but I thought it was pretty decent. Now let's do It's Doc Gerbil World. It's Doc Gerbil World. Dr. Gerbil going on to General. Yeah, this is another villain I found fine. This is Dr. Gerbil, an insane mad scientist who abducts humans to use them as experimentation. He's an animal rights activist, but also a mad scientist making new inventions, but he doesn't want to test on animals. He tests on human beings. He liberates Courage from his human oppressors, believing he's helping them, and takes them back to his creepy science lab up on a high cliff, where they play It's a Small World, but with his theme song. It's Doc Gerbil World. It's Doc Gerbil World. Definitely one of the more happier endings. Yeah, that's kind of why I like him. Like, took the creepy It's a Small World clock in Epic Mickey? Yeah, kind of. The Alien from the Sun episode? Alright. Like, what do you think of the house of the creepy face on the wall? Scotsman was cool, but not as cool as the Scotsman from Samurai Jack. Yeah, that one was much more badass. Not bad. Still needs salt, though. Yeah, he, like, abducts them in a vacuum. The one highlight about this character is, one, he is creepy. He does horrific experiments at body horror on Eustace and Muriel. Courage eventually saves them, and the climax of this episode is definitely the most memorable part. They're, like, riding down a waterfall, and this beautiful, like, opera music is playing. Yeah, they're like going down the waterfall. He's like chasing them. There's like no sounds and dialogue until the end. He falls off a waterfall to his death, and then we see like cartoonishly Splat. He's like still alive but hurt. Yeah, this guy, okay. I'll put him on to okay. Oh boy, still got a lot of villains. Let's do the Curtain of Cruelty Commissioner. Yeah, he we'll go on to, that's why they call you General. Okay, Curtain of Cruelty, one of my favorite episodes ever. The villain, kinda meh. He's actually one of the civilians we've seen before in the background. He finally steps up as the main villain. He creates the Curtain of Cruelty because, exactly like Dr. Gelost, he's also unhappy and depressed, but more so angry, and he wants to make everyone as bitter and angry as he is, creates the Curtain of Cruelty, which goes over the world, turning everyone into jerks. It infects everyone but Eustace and Courage and Muriel because they use this lovey-dovey laundry detergent, which cures the cruelty curtain. Yeah, okay, the episode is one of my favorites. The villain, he's meh. I do agree, he's kind of a mediocre villain. Basically, he's depressed. He's a watered-down version of Dr. Gelost, and that's why a lot of people don't like him. Me, I thought he was fine. He gets his happy ending when Courage reverses the curtain into a curtain of happiness, becoming a nice guy and becoming the noble mayor. Not bad. Still needs salt, though. That weird white face thing. Yeah, we did him. Okay, I have church now. See you later. Bye, Kira. Of course, when Courage made a happier curtain, it cures everyone but Eustace. I'm coming to get you, dog. Yeah, this villain, yeah, he is kind of meh. The episode itself, one of my favorites, though. I will fight you on that. Alright, next we'll do the alien who tried to kill everyone by sending them into the sun. This guy, I thought he was okay. Yeah, he's going on low, okay? This is the disturbed alien monster. He looks exactly like the computer virus. He manages to assume direct control of Muriel. Muriel becomes possessed, and basically the fun part of the episode is Muriel goes crazy. She's like freaking out, saying random things. The monster himself is kind of just this generic crazy psycho for hire. He technically doesn't lose at the end. Basically, they're trying to go on a dangerous mission to save Earth, and he wants to crash their rocket into the sun to make sure they fail. Courage manages to step up, fight him, and counter him, go into Muriel's body, and they evict him. He gets launched into space, but then takes over Eustace, and Eustace goes crazy, hinting that he's now taking control of him. Yeah, the alien hacker, I found okay. This was not one of my favorite villains. He's another one that lands on alright. Of course, when computer virus next. Do the goat, please. Bye, cat. I leave with a quote. Okay. The goat or the virus? Alright, we'll knock out the virus. The virus is pretty funny. Him, I'm gonna put onto higher general. We'll put him under the foot for sure. This is the computer virus who is a literal sick virus. He infects the computer. Courage's computer gets a virus, and he abducts Muriel, holds her hostage, and Courage enters kind of like this Homer 3 episode. It is a CGI episode, very trippy art and animation. Sends out viruses to kill Courage. It's a fun explore the computer world type of episode. I do like it. The villain himself actually isn't evil. He is very sick. He has a virus, and he's threatening to kill Muriel, but Muriel and Courage offer to help him by giving him like a soup or something, and it cures his cold, turning him into a working program again. Yeah, it's a fine episode. The episode itself is the big fun point. The character, he's alright, just a generic standard antagonist. Love this episode. Yeah, the episode itself is S tier. The villain, he's alright. He's okay. Remember, I'm judging the characters, not the episodes. My absolute favorite moment of when Muriel became big and small, and then her teeth became big and started eating the table, and she wanted to fight the boys. And she believed, like, Eustace smacked her butt one time. Okay, I gotta use the restroom break, but I'll be back. Cast your vote on who you want to see next. On the final 3 lines, let's go. Alright, I'm back. The Eustace Kangaroo, the Exorcist Muriel next. Alright, Possessed Muriel, she's going on to S tier. Yeah, liked evil Possessed Muriel. I'll put her under the Spirit Moon. Yeah, Possessed Muriel, she's actually funnier when she's possessed by a demon. Thumb War, love it. Full-blown Exorcist parody. They get a haunted mattress, and the mattress's evil spirits possess Muriel, turning her into a demonic monster. It is funny, laugh out loud, one of the best episodes of the series, and it made my top 10. So of course, this villain is an all-star. Sorry guys, gonna have to start speed running since I do have company coming soon. I'll try and give them their fair share of focus though. Kangaroo Eustace. This one also pretty funny, going on to A tier. Put him above Eustace's mom, but below the Sandman. Eustace gets a transplant, he suffers a horrific accident, breaking all his bones, and one of the bones that replaces his broken one is a Kangaroo-osaurus bone, but it turns Eustace into a were-monster, turning Eustace into a giant kaiju kangaroo dinosaur. Yeah, the show is weird. This is pretty funny, and Courage turning into a Kangaroosaurus 2 to combat him is one of the craziest moments of the show. Love Courage defeating evil giant Eustace. Eustace actually gets a happy ending too in the end of this. He decides to sell himself out as a freak show. This is definitely an A-tier monster. Giant Eustace Muriel, Demon Muriel. Okay, we did her. Yeah, the Kangaroosaurus, definitely a funny monster. Alright, let's do grow, expand, explode, grow, expand, explode. The suicide bomber Carrot. I will put him onto low A tier just because of how funny that there's a suicide bomber on Courage the Cowardly Dog. Yeah, the Carrot is actually a government experiment put onto carrots. Whoever eats these carrots will eat a suicide bomber carrot that will make you grow so big that you explode. And by explode, I mean turn into a nuke. This guy actually killed Eustace at the end, and it's pretty crazy that Cartoon Network had a suicide bomber monster on the show, but that's what made Courage so fun. Yeah, we'll put him on to low 8 here at least. The Fissionary. She's going on needs vinegar. Yeah, I got another lame fish monster. The Fissionary wants to take the Bag family back into the ocean, wants to help humans become fish. She declares that the Bag family are abusive towards fish and has them evicted and slowly turns them into fish. And it turns out she's a complete hypocrite. Yeah, I feel like this actually works as a social commentary, but she herself is not a very interesting villain, and honestly her defeat kind of came out of nowhere. She's going on needs vinegar. Alright, next, Basil the Burglar. This guy actually has a very sad backstory, but I'm also going to be putting him onto general. Yeah, he's basically a burglar. We'll put him under Freaky Fred. This is basically a burglar with weird amnesia and split personality. He turns into like a childhood self. He's a burglar, half a jerk, and also half a nice kid. He mistakes the Bag family as his loving family, Uncle Twinko Toes, and he cares about them. They like become partners in crime, and he actually undergoes a very weird redemption arc. Basically, Basil is crazy, he's mentally unstable, and we find out he's actually not too bad a bad guy. He actually wanted to chase his real dream of massaging electric eels. Yeah, the show is weird. I thought this episode was funny. The character himself, going on to mid-tier. He was fine. Alright, making sure you're still listening. Alright. The Valkyries, yeah, these ones, pretty weak villains. I'm also gonna put them on Needs Vinegar. I thought the episode was fun. The Valkyries, not really entertaining monsters. I kind of forget this episode exists. The Valkyries accidentally abduct Muriel, believing that she's one of their long-lost Valkyrie sisters. It turns out the sister is dating one of their clan's greatest rivals, the Singing Toads. There's these like weird frog orc people. They're at war with each other, but one of their sisters marries an orc frog prince, and they have a happily ever after. Yeah, the villains didn't really do much for me. I thought they were fine. They could use a lot more improvement. Alright, next. The Mummy. Yeah, mummies are pretty cool on this show. We'll put them also onto A tier. Yeah, I'll put them above the face in the wall. The Mummy is actually the mummy of a cook who was mistaken for a criminal robbing from the Pharaoh Empress, and it turns out the Empress and the loyal advisor are reincarnations of Eustace and Muriel. The mummy reawakens when his tomb is disrupted and goes on a centuries-long revenge spree trying to kill Eustace and Muriel. It turns out he was actually innocent and wants revenge because he was wrongly accused. It was really the royal advisor, and they set history right by reenacting the events that caused his death in the first place. However, they managed to prove that he was innocent, and Eustace gets blamed for stealing the cookies, and the Pharaoh Empress Muriel forgives him, where he is rewarded Eustace's blanket. Yeah, mummies are pretty cool, and courage definitely did not fail in this department. Demon Muriel. Okay, catch up on comments. The Space Squids, yeah, they're going on to S tier. Wasn't really any doubt. We'll put them... Okay, I'm gonna put them under the Storm Goddess. No. Alright, I'll put them next to Kitty and Robot Randy. These are the giant space squids who create stars and constellations, and they have one of the most wholesome episodes in the series. It is cute, it is adorable, and the father and mother die doing what every great parent would do, die protecting their kids and ensuring their safe future. Yeah, The Last of the Star Makers, also an S tier episode. I'm sorry it didn't make the top 10, but it had a lot of competition, alright? The Space Squids, S tier characters. They are definitely stars. The Mondo the Magician. He also going on in general, another okay villain. Mondo the Magician is an evil magician. He poses as this suave, cool, handsome magician man, seduces Muriel, but it turns out he's this hideous toad creature who wants to convert Muriel into one of his species. I do like the design because of how hideous and ugly it is, and I'm a sucker for magic episodes. Though Mondo is alright, he loses a lot more intelligence as the episode goes on, but yeah, okay monster. Going on to B tier. So sad, yep. Love the Space Squids, very sad story, sad episode, yeah. Ugh, the Toads, they're going on Stupid Dog. Not a big fan of the Toads. The Toads basically lose their water hole, and they take over the farm and convert it into their swamp. They convert the farm into like a swimming hole, and try to brainwash Eustace and Muriel into being frogs, only to have this confusing twist where they plan to eat human legs. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of these monsters, especially the way they're defeated. They're defeated by eating fly paper that Courage sticks to the ceiling fan, and he, like, flings them out of their house and somehow end up on a pond. Yeah, not one of the best villains. They're going on to Stupid Dog. The Raccoons. The Raccoons, I also thought they were alright. We're going to put them on to General. The Raccoons are these savage bandits that hang out in the woods. They're attacking people, they take Muriel hostage, but in a twist we find out the bandits are actually good guys. They're just two lost children that want Muriel as a parent, and they end up going on a redemption arc, being friends with Courage. Eustace tries to capture them and sell them for money, only for Courage to scare Eustace off and save them, where they give Eustace his comeuppance. Yeah, the raccoons are pretty funny. They're reoccurring in the background a lot. I did like their one standout episode. They're okay. The music made me cry every time I hear the Space Squid. Yeah. Courage defeats him with the different face trick with the hat. Yeah, I did. Alright, the Box Monster. Box Monster was pretty creepy. I might put him onto How Lovely. Yeah, I'll put him under the deer guy and before Mona Lisa and the Thinker. This is the Box Monster, a demonic guardian inside of Eustace's brother's bank box. It kills anyone who tries to get inside. Eustace wants to steal his dead brother's money and stupidly opens the box despite several thousand warnings, and the monster nearly kills them. The worst thing I have to say about it is we never see the full monster. We see its giant demonic claws, but I think it's fine. Yeah, the Box Monster, I also think it's pretty good, really creepy. Unfortunately, it has an anticlimactic defeat thanks to S-Tier Shirley. She just stomps on the box lid, crushing its hands. Alright, the Goat. The Goat is also another misunderstood character. Okay, he had some badass moments. I'll put him onto A tier for sure. Put him under the Swamp Thing. Alright, the Goat. Pretty funny character. This is also a cosmic guardian. He guards a healing spring and hates humans because they ruin the water. He is suffering from crippling pain himself because he hasn't taken good health of himself either. Courage eventually befriends him, and the Goat is pretty funny. I like this episode because of how much pain he drops on Eustace and Courage. Yeah, he's one of the more funny villains, and he actually redeems himself. It's much more earned this time because he was pissed off at humanity, then Courage and Muriel save the spring and prove that they're good people, and help him get over his own pain. Yeah, we'll put him on to A tier. That damn beaver. The damn beaver, also going on to A tier. I do like him. He had also kind of a similar story as the Goat and the Scarecrow. He starts out villainous. He nearly destroys nowhere with his giant dam, but Courage ends up opening up emotionally to him. We find out the beaver wanted to become a musician, but his dad told him no. His dad forced him to get a construction job where he's building this dam out of complete anger and frustration, but Courage redeems him and they start a cool jazz band. The stupid one opened the box. The funny moment is when Shirley opened her mouth and acted like a phone. Yeah, that was pretty funny too. The Whip. Yeah, Evil Eustace. Also going on to S tier. I'll put him next to Evil Muriel. This is the Whip, an evil fantasy version of Eustace, who's an undead cowboy who uses a whip as his ultimate weapon. And yeah, it's pretty funny. Once again, it's just an evil version of Eustace. Personally, I think Mr. Nasty was funnier. Yeah, I might put him under the Quilt Club characters now. Yeah, Mr. Nasty was much funnier, but this one, not bad. Like the Whip, like his style, like his weapon, and Eustace's voice actor definitely had the time of his life as this role. The Whip is going on to stars because Evil Eustace is the ultimate villain. The aliens that were trying to cure their disease. These ones I'll also put onto maybe high. That's why they call you General. These are the alien scientists who tried to cure their dying race. They suffer a disease where they beat themselves up and they can't stop themselves. They take the Bag family to, of course, use them as test subjects. And once again, it turned out they're good guys. They're actually nice and caring. Have a very friendly, wholesome ending at the end after Courage helps prove to be the cure and they save their species. Yeah, pretty funny episode, and I think the guys are okay. The entire episode was a dream because of the story, except the Whip turned out to be real. The rats, they're going on needs vinegar. So, it's a pretty funny episode parroting the Nutcracker tale, and the rats are the villains. They're the evil rats who own the kingdom. The family is shopping for Christmas presents at the dump, and get into the Nutcracker suite type of adventure, where the rats are trying to kill and eat Eustace and Muriel, and Courage saves them with the power of his Nutcracker. pretty good Christmas episode, but the villains, nothing to go home writing about. They're pretty much generic giant rodents, and that's about it. These guys like belong as minions on House of the Dead. The chicken from outer space returns, and yeah, we're also gonna give him... How lovely. Yeah, this is the same villain as the chicken from outer space. I'll give him one level up. This is the headless chicken who comes back for revenge. Surprisingly, we got a sequel to the original pilot. The chicken comes back now as an undead roasted chicken who wants to behead Courage and his family. He wants to take their heads and mount it on his own body for a replacement. And it's a pretty funny sequel episode, not gonna lie. The villain is exactly the same as he was in the short. Pretty dark, but also humorous at times. The chicken now has a reason to not talk and actually succeeds at beheading Eustace, so we'll give him an A for that. Speaking of which, the Duck Brothers. It's wrong for duck brothers to lay eggs. Yeah, we'll also put them onto A tier. These guys, pretty funny, not gonna lie, but also not really evil. The Duck Brothers want to save their long-lost brother, who is taken by the military and is being cooked for soup. Sailor Captain and Carmen, we'll do them next. Horseman next. There's the fun moment where the parachute woman was in the save and she screams when she saw Courage. Yeah, that was funny because of how random it was. Okay, the Duck Brothers, pretty funny characters. Turned out to be tragic villains. They saved their brother and they show up singing the halftime song, which is epic. I'll give them an A. Jess Harnell really sounded like the Beatles. Alright, the Sea Captain. This guy was hilarious. I'm gonna put him onto A tier too. Yeah, I might put him above the pig, but under Mona Lisa and the Thinker. The Sea Captain is a hilarious type of crazy. This evil Captain Ahab, Captain Quint parody, who is a complete psycho that likes hunting and killing animals. He takes the family hostage to hunt Carmen, and Carmen honestly might go on low general. She's not evil. Hey. Yeah, Carmen's not evil, she's actually the good guy, and the Sea Captain turned out to be evil. The Sea Captain is hilariously crazy, I'll put him on A. Carmen is alright, really cool and creepy design, but she turned out to be a nice girl that likes to sing the Carmen opera. The Gorilla Emperor, he is going on needs vinegar. The gorilla is basically a giant monkey posing as this wise man, but really he's killing people and eating bananas. Though, everyone remembers the crackhead banana, this weird, creepy, homeless crackhead banana. Psst, come here, I got something for you. Yeah, this guy will go up a little higher on general. The crackhead banana is so creepy and off-putting, but that's what makes it pretty funny. I like this homeless crackhead banana, and he showed up in future episodes too, so somebody loved this guy. Alright, that one. They speak like Ringo Starr, and the voice wasn't just Jess Harnell. Yeah, the gorilla. Okay. The son of the chicken from outer space, also a funny character. We'll put you up there next to Dear Old Dad, but under Bigfoot. This is like a hilarious Three Stooges parody. The chicken has 3 heads and they're always beating each other. The son of the chicken from outer space comes to get revenge on Courage the Cowardly Dog to avenge the death of his father. Yeah, apparently his rotisserie chicken half finally died for good. He turns out to be a misunderstood villain. He's doing this because he can't go home, otherwise his mom will disown him. He tries to kill the farm family. It is one of the funniest episodes ever, like every other one. And he epically fails, but Courage actually pretends to fake his death, fakes his defeat, and gives them, like, basically prove to their mom that they killed their ultimate enemy, ending the Chicken from Outer Space saga on a good note. And somehow, he and his family end up as a 3-headed chicken, too. Yeah, no explanation how, but yeah, this character, pretty funny. Much better than Dear Old Dad. Alright, the Windmill Vandals. Yeah, you know, these guys going up top. The Windmill Vandals are the iconic villains. They're the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse attacking the family farm. Every time the windmill goes out, their spirits emerge and they will destroy the entire farm and anyone living there, leading to a hilarious and dark fight with them. Yeah, these guys are awesome. If you want me to talk about more of them, watch my top 10 episodes. Their episode made it on there. Alright, let's do Evil General. That's why they call you General, General. Yeah, this guy, also a barrel of laughs. I liked him more than Eustace' mom and his second in command. The two military guys, they're hilarious, always beating each other, blowing stuff up, hurting each other. They're pretty much incompetent authority figures. That's the joke. They're dumbasses in the military, dumbass authority figures, and they usually make matters worse. The general did save them from the evil carrot, only delaying the inevitable. The chicken equivalent of King Ghidorah. Yep. Would you like to live in Flapjack's world or Courage's world? That is pretty hard. Maybe Courage because my death would be quicker. They just wanted to avenge their father. Love the duo. Yeah, this duo, absolutely hilarious. I would put them on S tier, but technically they're not monsters. They're occasional antagonists. But yeah, we'll put them on to high A tier. The Evil Empress. Sorry, I'm gonna put her onto General. Yeah, sorry. We'll put her up high, but I thought the Empress was an alright villainess. She's a evil sorceress. She has, like, a twin sister who's a wise and noble spirit. She's an evil conqueror who wants to conquer China with her nephew, the Asian guy. Yeah, he's up here. Yeah, here he is. They try to conquer China, leading to Courage mastering the ways of martial arts to defeat her. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy episode. I think the villain is alright. The best part is Courage's martial arts training, though. Velvet Vic. Dragsville. Velvet Vic, another alright monster. I'll put him under the raccoons. Velvet Vic is a music monster, has a really creepy design, but he's a comedy villain. He wants to be free from his cursed record, traps Muriel in there, leading to Courage trying to defeat him and trap him back in exchange for Muriel's soul. The episode is alright. The villain is nothing to write home about. I think Velvet Vic is one of the more forgettable villains, but for what it's worth, I think he's B tier. Let's do the Paper People. Oh yeah, this was a crazy episode. But we'll put the Artist and Paper Eustace and Muriel onto S tier. This was like the last legit creepy episode up until the finale, and I like them. The Artist wants his creations to live. He creates Paper Eustace and Muriel here, leading to a really creepy visual where they absorb their life force and become Eustace and Muriel. However, their life sucks because they're still made of paper. They're like dying, getting shredded and hurt, and Courage teaches them a valuable lesson about valuing your strengths, valuing what you are, and the Paper People actually like being animated art. They like being paper, they like being fun, creative, and imaginative, and the Artist has a redemption arc. He sees that they like being paper and ends up re-adopting them back into his life. They get a happy ending, and they return their life force back to the originals. Yeah, it's a really good episode. I do like these characters. We'll put them on low S tier. The Giant Starfish, Evil Patrick Star. This one we'll also put low on S tier. This is the unstoppable kaiju Starro monster. Nearly destroys the family farm because Shirley puts another curse hex on Muriel. If Muriel doesn't speak, then this monster will destroy her and everything. And the monster goes on a rampage. More so, Eustace is the actual villain of the episode, but this monster nearly destroys the farm, and Courage gets Muriel to talk before Starro kills her. Yeah, basically a giant generic monster. I think it's pretty cool because of its design. Looks so alien. We'll put it on to Star. Watch where you're going, you fool. It's Venus Terzo's birthday, Black Arachnia. Love the duo. Paper cardboard of Eustace and Muriel is weird, but a pretty fun and crazy inventive episode. Next, we'll knock off the Fog Monster. The Fog Monster, I thought he was alright too. Yeah, sorry, I did watch the animated short, The Fog, and it definitely had the spirit of Courage the Cowardly Dog. The monster, I felt, was a lot more cartoonish looking, a lot more sillier. The monster is another alright one. The Fog is basically haunting the farm because Eustace stole his valuable locket. The locket belonged to his lover, and he wants it because it's the last thing connecting him to his lover. He's destroying the farm, infecting areas, and eventually Courage and Eustace battle over the locket where he returns it. Yeah, this guy is kind of a nicer version of King Ramses. I thought the short was fine, and the monster not one of my favorites. It looked creative visually, but overall, I think it's B tier. Next, the Cicada Queen, and the Cicada Queen going into Stupid Dog. Yeah, we'll put her above Conway the Contaminist. Okay, yes, I saw Straight Out of Nowhere. I did not like it. I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of the Scooby and Courage crossover. I was looking forward to it, and unfortunately, the monster was very disappointing, and a lot of the comedy really missed the mark for me. This is the monster of Straight Out of Nowhere. It's the Cicada Queen, an insect queen that is destroying nowhere. Except not really, it's actually Katz and LeQuack inside of a monster suit. Yeah, Katz and LeQuack turn out to be the real villains, and they disguise themselves as a monster that somehow controls cicadas, and there is a lot of plot holes in this big twist, and yeah, the monster itself will go on Stupid Dog. And now the one you've all been waiting for. Let's end this on the high note. King Ramses, the man in gauze, who is actually going to dethrone Katz. He is the #1 best. Yeah, this one we'll talk a little about. I remember that cicada monster in the Kaiju Courage fight. There was the one Viking horseman thing. Yeah, the horsemen, they're on here. They're on S tier. Alright, King Ramses rocks. He's cool, has a kick-ass design, has so many quotable moments. Return the slab or suffer my curse. Has that creepy design. He still holds up all these years later. The CGI actually looks more off-putting today, giving him this really disturbed performance. King Ramses is essentially a mummy, and much more powerful than the other mummy we listed on here. Yeah, there he is. King Ramses, easily my #1 monster. He is cool, he is creepy, and he murders Eustace and those cat burglars horribly with his locust swarm. Yeah, he does have powers to back up his terror. He causes a flood, causes death by bad music, and has locusts that devour everything, even wood and metal. He nearly destroys the farm, but Courage returns the slab. Eustace stupidly still tries to steal it from him. That's 3 plagues. You're out of ammo, mister. And basically, he kills Eustace anyway, because he's an all-powerful mummy, duh. This monster, easily the best creature of Courage the Cowardly Dog. His design stands out, his powers are creepy, and that voice is still disturbing. Yep, the goat. Aw, come on. Rightfully so, S tier. Have a great night. Bye, Tails. Also, King Ramses is so cool that I hope we see a clip used for the Twilight Zone, Pharaoh's Curse. Eustace, where's my $1,000,000? What's your offer? Yeah, that's the best episode of the series, but we're talking about villains, and King Ramses definitely stands out. He is the #1 Courage the Cowardly Dog monster. Sorry, we had to race through, but I do have company coming over soon. Sorry, not gonna give a recap on all of them because look at this list, there are many. There are just so many. But up top, we'll do our top 10. #1, King Ramses. #2, Katz. #3, Mad Dog. Love the realistic domestic abuse depiction. #4, The Hunchback of Nowhere. #5, The Great Fusili. #6, The Computer. #7, Shirley the Medium. #8, The Storm Goddess, love her design. #9, Kitty, the Mass Monster. And #10, the Squid Aliens. Yeah, I love the Star Maker squids. They made it on here. These are the top 10. The bottom worst, easily the worst, is Little Muriel, but tied with her is the precious, adorable duck. Bye, cat. See you next time. And it's done. Yeah, sorry, not gonna give a recap because I'm running out of time here, and we got a really huge tier list. But got that. Ramses is #1, dead last is Little Muriel because she was annoying. So, not gonna give any hints, but I do have something new on Patreon right now. Got a new spooky video out, go check that out. What's our next tier list? Likely Killer Croc. Gonna be finally ranking Killer Croc soon, hopefully this weekend. Don't have a specific time or date, but that's the next tier list. Gonna rank Killer Croc next time, and got new spooky reviews on Patreon. Wolf did a Twilight Zone, and I got a special surprise on you there. But now, let's finally wrap this up, and I'll set you guys free. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe, or just tune in for more videos hosted here on Wolf Entertainment. I'm your host, Catastrophe, And I wish you all a good night. Stupid dog, booga booga booga!